Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's your boy Mr. Box Office from Mr. Box Office TV, back with another show for you today. This is an impromptu show, as you see to my right, my boy Smatic. We're actually discussing something. I just thought, you know what? Even though he's only going to be here for a short time, because the guy that is the best thing on YouTube's got a lot of things going on. You know what I mean? Because he's really busy with with all his schedule and stuff. So we've got him today. So big up to him today. How you doing, Asmatic? How you doing, bro?
Yeah, no, man, I'm blessed, man. Thanks for having me on once again. Let's just chop it up, man. Let's just jump straight into it.
Yeah, let's get straight into it. We're talking about the game against Atletico Madrid. And we're going to get into that firstly, because we had a bit of a disagreement, because I'm obviously the guy that talks the truth and can't, it doesn't really phase me, the game, even though there was some positives and that's it. So for me, for me personally, it was a no pressure game. So for me, there's only so much I can take out of that game. And even though it was a good performance, after how many performances we've seen before, it's not been great, and we've actually won a game in 2026. For me, it doesn't really move me that much. Smack, on the other hand, might have a different opinion. What's your opinion on that?
I think you hit the nail on the head. First win in 2026, and that's the state of affairs that we're in at the moment. The reason why lots of fans are getting behind this win is because we haven't seen anything at all. And I would say some fans would even argue that they didn't know the players had it in them. So my thing is, looking at that game in isolation, if I compared it to the first game, I wasn't happy. I know it was free slips, and people were saying, if you take those free slips, then, we've had a good game. I disagreed with that. I thought it was a poor game. And I think it's important to call out the game, what you see. So that game on Wednesday, when we did play well, I felt we had more of the chances, in my opinion, or better of the chances. And I saw a bit of fight. And my whole thing is, in these next few games, we just need to see results. Keep the players that play in that are showing some fight, and that should hopefully get us to stay in the league, in my opinion. I'm looking at it game by game. Liverpool, that was a draw, but again, it was a dogged performance. It was another fight. So when you put those two together, you see, look at the two results, and you do look at the two performances back to back. You're saying that one was in the Premier League, one was against Champions League opposition in Atletico. Let's face it, we would love to have any of those players into our team. If we look at Alvarez, we would take him in a heartbeat. Lookman, we've all were crying for him, and we didn't sign him. Llorente, I thought he was quality on the night. And Alvarez, Griezmann, top player. You saw on the night what damage you could do. So I thought you have to be fair. When it's poor, you call it out. But when you see a decent performance, you also have to give it some praise. And I think you take a game one by a day at a time, and try not to cloud your vision by looking at 5 games ahead, or 3 games ahead, 2 games ahead. Maybe look at the game how it is at the time, and you can only hope that these players have now woken up. And I say hope. That's a big word.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, in some way, I agree with you. I mean, certain things I do agree with you in terms of the Atletico Madrid team. It's a good team. I won't lie to you there. Defensively, they were actually quite bad, to be honest with you. Both legs, I have to be honest. Because we got at them at their ground. We got 2 goals, and at our ground, we played actually not too badly in terms of attacking wise, and caused them a few problems defensively as well. Attacking wise, they were all over us. I have to be honest with you, especially on the counter attack. And I'm glad you pointed out Llorente. I thought he was class. The balls that he was playing was absolutely class. I think it's exactly what we miss: a ball playing midfielder like him. Alvarez, I've got to say, that first goal was absolutely sublime. That is the sort of striker that you don't see anymore. One touch, into his feet, and he's got that instinct just to put in the bottom, side of the net, and that's it. And it is brilliant. And Griezmann, you can see that with age, he hasn't declined at all, hasn't he? He hasn't declined whatsoever. But respect to Tottenham, they did well against a very good team. That's what I wanted. I wanted a decent team because at home, because I've seen now Tottenham fans are now putting out about our home record in Europe, and yeah, it's quite impressive. But if you look at the teams in that home thing, the teams that we played at home, most of them are not great teams. They're not. You're not going to be like getting blown away by it. You know what I mean? And some of those results did have context to it, like AC Milan. You know what I mean? If you watch that game in that Champions League, which was way back when Conte was in charge, nobody was happy in that game. Nobody was happy. You know what I mean? That was like a loss to us. You know what I mean? So credit to Tottenham. That's the first decent team I've seen Tottenham play in a long while, and we did well, but there was no pressure. That's the problem, Asthmatic. There was no pressure. Liverpool, no pressure. What we're going to see against Nottingham Forest? What we're going to see against...
we will. Yeah, definitely. I agree. We will see against Nottingham Forest. That is the question. I think also to add to your point, and I'm going to agree with you, Atletico have been poor defensively all season. I think they've let in a lot of goals, one of the highest, I think, in the Liga. But in terms of scoring, they've scored quite a lot as well. I think that's why it was always going to be a good contest between the two teams, because both teams are both defensively poor. And you're right. When it comes to mentality, that's been our biggest issue for Spurs for not just this season, but seasons gone past. In the cup final, though, we did turn up, we did show it. And I think the mood around the fan base is that we're going to try to treat this as a cup final. And if they come with that right mentality and they realize, actually, you know what, we finally woken up, we're in this kind of relegation battle, dogfight, we're going to give it our all to stay in the league. Because let's face it, at the end of the day, this does show up on their CV, like if they get relegated, these players will have to say, yeah, we were the players that got this team taken down. No other players before have taken this team before, taking them down. So I would suspect that maybe some pride, if Igor Tudor is smart, he would use that as an antidote or a carrot to swing over their head to say, look, boys, you don't want to be the first players to relegate this team in 49 years. Do you know what I mean? You're much better than this. You've come from top clubs and you've played at the highest levels. So you need to show that fight. You need to show that mentality that you are better than what the league position is showing. So I think that is and just to go turn the conversation slightly and talk about individual players. Archie Gray's been hyped up for quite some time, but he's actually delivered in the Atletico game and also in the Liverpool game. He had a good performance, and even before that, I think this month has been good for Archie. I think it's fair to say. People are getting overly excited at the moment with him, but it's gonna happen because he's English, number one, and he's young. So I think people are excited on the fact of that he has a high ceiling, meaning he's got potential to grow into something.
So, but on that point that you just made, yeah, right, about Archie Graham in a good month, I don't agree with that. With respect, I don't agree with that. Yeah, if Archie Graham had a really good month, Asthmatic, why is he not in the England squad? Because I'm looking at. Let's bring that up, because the thing is, though, the only reason why I bring that up, because Solanke is in the England squad, who's been crap. Let's be honest. Right, and Jed Spence is in the squad, and he's been missing the last how many games? Let's be honest here. You know what I mean? He's only just been a 5 at best, and they're in the England squad. Yeah. So I know we've got top midfielders in our team in terms of England, right? Not that I watch international football because it makes me go to sleep. I might as well go to sleep. Might as well go to a library and watch that. You know what I mean? Go to the library. But the point is, though, right? Okay, other libraries are available, by the way. But but my point is, though, right, is that if he's playing that well, he'd be in England squad. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Don't
no,
you
that's
think?
fair. I would argue that England are stacked in that position. That's what I'd argue with more senior players. So where would he play in that position? He's not going to be in this number 6 position because you've got Declan Rice there, you've got Elliot Anderson, and then
Is he actually number 6? Is he actually number 6?
No, he's not. But he's not at number 6. But I'm saying, where would he play? And I'm just going through the list of midfielders that England have. Elliot Anderson, obviously. I think Elliot Anderson is a 6/8. I don't think he's necessarily a 6. I think the same with Rice. I don't think Rice is a number 6 like that. I think he's a 6/8. He's kind of box to box, kind of. He's a hybrid between the two, in my opinion. Do you know what I mean? Then you've got other midfielders that are in the higher pecking order, even like players that don't even start. Like Curtis Jones, for me, starts above Archie Gray all day long. Do you know what I'm saying? I just think where we are at the moment, and the month that he's had, all right, you could argue it hasn't been like amazing, but as a collective, I think Spurs have been poor, and it's not just him as an individual. I think as many players in that team have been poor, but I think at the minimum, he's the one that's shown a bit of fight, and he's the youngest player.
Is that just a minimum? Is that just a minimum, though, mate? Because the thing is, though, I could argue, right? He's been playing most of the games, and he's the reason why we're losing all the games because he's been mostly in the team all the time. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. I'm not trying to rage quit people. That's a thing now these days. You know what I mean? But the thing is, I'm just saying. Not you, by the way. Not you. I'm just like, a lot of people are saying rage quit now these days. But the point is, though, is I'm just saying that Archie Gray's been in most of the games, and how many games have we lost?
Yeah, no. Listen, I don't know if it's Archie Gray in isolation. He's the reason why we've been losing the games. I'd say the collective, the team, the players are the reason why we're losing the games. But I think his head hasn't dropped. But you could argue, if you wanted to argue a different point and say, look, showing fight's not enough. I think at this stage, when you're trying to stay in the league, you need people that are going to fight for you. Do you know what I mean? On top of the fight, I think Liverpool and Atletico, he actually showed a bit of quality. What do I mean by that? Tight spaces, able to carry the ball, drive it forward, and then find the right pass. So that shows to me that he has some intelligence. Some players, they take too many touches of the ball and then they lose it, or they end up getting fouled or drawing fouls to themselves. He, when he's on the ball, does release it on time, so that doesn't actually happen. How many times would you say Archie Gray gets put down to the floor? Why? Because he knows when to release that ball. For me, it shows his character because it shows that he's played for the team. But number 2, he knows how to hurt teams, because the quicker you move the ball, sometimes passing the ball forward rather than carrying it makes that ball travel a little bit faster. And I'm no Archie Gray fan. I'm not here to defend Archie Gray.
I'll make you right. I'll make you right for what you're saying, though, just to be balanced on what I'm saying here. The second goal from Javi Simmons was because of Archie Gray, right?
Yeah, I'm even talking about in the first half. In the first half, he wins the ball high up.
Yeah,
he picks the ball up. He passes it into Javi. Javi first time passes it out wide to Tell. If Tell squares it back to him, then Archie Gray has a tap in.
Yeah,
do you know what
100%. 100%. I saw that. Yeah.
So I'm looking at things like that. I'm like, oh, okay, he's not just, because if he took too many touches, he kills the move there.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to, and I think before Archie Gray was deployed a little bit deeper, a bit too deep for me under Frank. And I think Tudor's given him a little bit more license to roam higher up the pitch, to win the ball higher up and to carry the ball forward, in my opinion. I think that suits him a lot more than him playing deeper as a number 6 and trying
mm.
to work the ball, take the ball off the fullback or off the centre back. I don't think that's his game. Don't get me wrong, we did see that in times where he did drop back just in front of the front three or back three, sorry, or the back four. Sometimes he would do it, but a lot of his best work was higher up the pitch where he's able to express himself, get his head up and play what he can see. And I still have the question marks because I need to see it on a consistent basis for Archie Gray, in my opinion. But you can see why people are getting excited. You can see the talent is there. However, he needs to be played in his rightful position. And I think a lot of our thoughts and feelings towards Archie Gray is because we've seen him at right back, we've seen him at left back, we've seen him at centre back, and we haven't seen him that many times in the midfield position where he is higher up. Maybe once or twice under Frank, when the first game of the season when he played with Pape Sarr and Bergvall against Burnley, he played a lot higher up. We saw a decent performance from Archie Gray. But then other games, I think Frank was deploying him way too deep. And that's not really his game, in my opinion. And I think that part of his game needs to be developed and still needs to be coached. And when he gets that right, then yes. I think also we're criticizing Gray because as a midfielder, you need to score goals. Now, he has added some goals to his team, to his game. But you need to be a top 6 midfielder or a top 8, whatever midfielder in the Premier League. You need to start adding goals. Now, he has scored 1 or 2 goals this season, but we need to see that on a regular basis. And it depends on what level you are marking and holding Archie Gray to, because yes, we paid a lot of money for him. It was 40 million we paid for. It's a hefty price tag. I remember when we paid 40 million for Sissoko in the Championship. Do you know what I mean? And he had a lot of critique about him. Lots of people didn't like him. But by the end of the season, you know, people were like, they weren't mad at him. Let's put it that way. He wasn't our best player for what we thought we were getting. But again, if you compare him to Archie Gray, price tag, 40 million way back then was way more expensive than it is right now. 40 million isn't that crazy nowadays, if you think about it. Still a hefty price tag. It's still a hefty price tag.
I think it's a good comparison to what you're saying, Sissoko. I compare him to like Harry Winks or Eric Dyer.
But Harry Winks and Eric Dyer never came for those big hefty prices. That's the reason why I want to compare them.
Yeah, but my point with the whole thing with Eric Dyer and Harry Winks is that they were playing similar positions to what Archie Gray was doing, and Archie Gray gets the praise that he gets. And they didn't see the same energy for Eric Dyer, because Eric Dyer was moved about a lot, like Archie Gray. He was moved about a lot.
And yes, he was.
But
I think he's a completely different midfielder. I think Eric Dyer is more of a 6 than what Archie Gray is. I think Archie Gray is more of a centre midfielder. I think Eric Dyer is a DM. If like the Winks comparison is more comparable, I think Winks was played as a 6 when I think he was meant to be a centre mid / higher up. I don't think that as soon as you played Winks a little bit deeper, you lost him. Do you know what I mean? He struggled. But because he was so good technically, like he was good close control, he didn't have that physicality in the Premier League to live as a number 6. He needed someone strong next to him. Hence why I think he suffered as Winks, and we all tapped Winks. Do you know what I mean? And then ever since then, he never recovered, and we ended up selling him. Do you know what I mean? But Winks higher up, he could hurt. He had the passing ability to kind of hurt teams. I think Archie Gray is a little bit stronger, and if he's developed right, I think he could. Difference between him and Winks, he can carry the ball. I think he'd be able to carry the ball a little bit better in those moments, in those little tight areas. I mean,
you know how much hate how much hate Winks got. Harry Winks got after
the most hated player, bro.
You know how much hate he got. Like, I remember the arguments I had with David Harris about him.
Yeah.
Right. Like early days, I remember like I was sticking up for him a lot, and then I realized how rubbish he was. You know what I mean? How downhill he went. You know what I mean? So this is why
you're right.
This is why I always bring these people up, because I sit there and say, okay, do you remember this? Do you remember this? You know what I mean? You know,
I mean, the debate is really, do you think, and someone's put in the comments, do you think Saul will become the new scapegoat? His mistakes are highlighted even when he played well, yet fan favorites only have the good things they do highlighted when the mistakes are ignored. So the argument really is it's Archie Gray versus Sarr for me,
yeah,
in my opinion.
yeah.
They
I do
play
agree with that. I do agree with that. Yeah, yeah,
they play in the
yeah.
exact same
Definitely.
position. They've got similar traits, I would say. Um, who's going to make it out of the two of them? Who's going to be given that chance? I mean, I'd argue that Sarr is further along in his development. Archie Gray he's literally just turned 20, so he's not as developed and seasoned as even like Sarr. When we left him on loan, remember we bought him and then we let him stay another season in France. We didn't do that with Archie Gray. We brought him straight in. With Sarr, he got a whole season at Metz. Do you know what I mean? To develop his minutes because he knew he'd get more first team minutes. That's the only way you improve, by getting first team minutes, literally on the pitch. Otherwise, you don't develop, especially in his position. Then he came into Spurs, had to fight for it. I remember under Conte, it was between him and Skip. Skip got the go ahead. Then obviously Conte left, and that's when Sarr overtook Skip, and then Skip got sold, obviously, to Leicester, and then Sarr kept his position. And then since then, I think Sarr's had he's about 2 or 3 seasons ahead of Archie Gray. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and that's just in a Spurs shirt. That's just in a Spurs shirt.
I think the problem is I think the difference is with Sarr and Archie Gray. I do think that Archie Gray's got a little bit more about him, I would say, even though I don't rate the player, right? Because I think Sarr's more of an athlete. I think he's more an athlete than an actual footballer. Where you can say Archie Gray's got a bit of footballing ability, that's where I'll admit it. I'll admit it. There is a little bit of ability, but is he ready right now? No. Right. This is where I think Sarr's got it over him a little bit. You know what I mean? Because Sarr's he's got that athletic bit about him. You know what I mean? For me,
But
anyway.
could you say that? Okay, if Archie Gray, could he improve his athleticism, or could Sarr improve his footballing ability? Do you know what I'm saying? Which one could level up more? What would keep you in the side more? That's the argument.
I think Archie Gray would be better athlete for me than Sarr being a better footballer. I think the footballing ability only goes so far with certain players. You know what I mean? I think that just
but
is.
Do you think Sarr would develop more above Archie Gray then as a footballer? Do you think
I don't know about that, to be honest with you. I'm not too sure.
This is it. This is the same energy you give it to Archie, you have to give to Sarr, because Sarr's had longer. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think the problem is with Archie Gray, there is so much talked about him. There's not that much spoken about Sarr. That's the thing.
No, I hear it. So I think your issue is more with the fans than it is with Archie Gray himself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's like for instance, this is just an example. Ange Postecoglou. You know what I mean? So many people talk about him, right?
Yeah.
And for me, I've made my decision on him. Respect him for what he done.
Yeah.
But I don't like him. I didn't like him. That's it. That's it for me. Archie Gray, don't think too much of him, but the way that the fans make a big deal about him, it makes you give you the ick. You get what I'm saying? Because you've made this, you haven't made a decision on him, but the way that people go on about him, it just goes in your face too much. That's it for me. You don't have that with Sarr. Pape Sarr. You don't see that with Sarr. I only saw that a little bit earlier on, and that was it.
Would you say that's unfair on Archie Gray then? Because you're reacting off other fans' feelings and emotions as opposed to what Archie Gray is actually doing. Do you know what I mean?
You got a good point there. It's just I don't. For me, this is now a personal opinion. Now, the main event's opinion is that I don't change on somebody just on the switch. I just don't. It takes me a bit of time, and if it changes if my opinion changes, it changes because I've seen something over time. You know what I mean? And it just is what I am at the moment because, like I said previously, I used to like people like Harry Winks, Sanchez. Didn't like the abuse for Dele Alli. I used to like Holtby. I didn't like the fact that we sold Lewis Holtby. But in the end, we realised, it was good to get rid of them. You know what I mean? Because they weren't good enough. I don't look at any in this team at the moment better than those sort of those players that we let go of.
Yeah.
I don't look at them. The one that sticks in my mind is Højbjerg.
Mm.
The one that sticks in my mind is Højbjerg.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You
No,
know?
it's understandable. It's just whether we talk about facts and feelings, etc., but we have to be accountable to our own facts and feelings as well. So if Archie Gray, like you said, starts giving consistency, then we're actually allowed to then say, look, you know, before he wasn't doing it, now he is. Do you know what I mean? And it's important to recognize that when it does, if it happens. So
just before we continue, do you have to go?
Not yet. I'm waiting for the phone call. Gonna give it hopefully 4 more minutes. See, anytime now I'll have to go though. Anytime now.
You just let me know when you need to go, because then I can channel and stuff, and you know, whatever it is and stuff like that as well. I did say that Asmat got a busy. He's got a busy schedule. The top guy's got a busy schedule. You know what I mean, you guys. You know what I mean. On what before you go, I think we need to talk about Xavi Simons. I think we need to talk about it. What's your thoughts on Xavi Simons?
Look, Xavi Simons is sorry to cut you, man. You're gonna say something?
You go for it. You go.
Xavi Simons is showing fight. And I've said at the start, at the moment, it's not about your favorite players and who can show flair, who can entertain. It's about players that can show fight, grit and determination, and get us a result at the end of the day. There's many players that I might not necessarily rate, but if they're gonna be that ones that nick a goal here and there, or they win a challenge, they win the ball up for a high up the pitch, that's what Igor Tudor is gonna need to rely on if he's gonna be our coach, let's say, to the end of the season. If we're not gonna sack him, or we'll see in it. But whoever comes in, if it's Igor or a different coach, we need players that are gonna fight and want to scrap. And at the moment, I think it was maybe a wise decision for Igor to leave him out and let him stew and let him feel like he's being hard done by. Because some players, they need that. Some players, they need the arm around the shoulder. Some players need to be told, you know what, you're not as good as you think you are. And if you think you're going to want to get in this team, you're going to have to show a bit of metal, a bit of needle. And he came on, sorry, he started against Atletico. And I think he showed that. I thought he showed a bit more fight as well at the Liverpool game. And for me, that's what's important. Can you make an impact? Can you make yourself known? In Atletico game, I saw him playing all in many different positions. I saw him float to the left back role, left midfield role, right midfield role. I see him pop up centrally, and eventually he got his goal. And he was literally never hiding. That's what I like about him. He's always showing for the ball, wanting to get on the ball, make things happen, and affect the game in the final third. And he didn't care if he got the ball, picked it up, lost it. He'd do it again. And you need players like that where they're not jaded. Like if they make a mistake, that's the mentality I want. Players that are going to fight, players that are going to try something, and you never know, it might come off. And in that instance against Atletico, on the big night, at the big stage, it came off and he scored a good goal. Him and Archie Gray linking up, having a little 1-2, showing a bit of chemistry. Players having, we talk about relationships a lot. Could that be something that we start to see? Could something happen when you play Archie Gray and you give him that role, you give him that free role to kind of affect games? This is the player that we all thought we were going to sign. We thought we were going to see this type of quality player. But again, it comes down to consistency. The same energy we give to Archie Gray, we have to give it to Simons. He needs to show that consistency, and he can't be a crybaby if he's not performing, that he gets left out or he gets taken off, he gets subbed off. He's got to be a man about these things. He's got to be a professional. And I think Xavi Simons has a lot of potential, but potential in this league is not enough.
I think he's worked really hard. I still stick by what I say. He's no better than Maddison, James Maddison and Kulu for what they offer us. Again, I stick by what I say about Kulu, a Juventus reject. Nothing's changed there. I've criticised Maddison, but Maddison, for me, quality, he's definitely better than Harry Kane, what they offered us as well. But where I feel sorry for him he has worked hard. He's worked hard. He's worked on his body as well, the physical side as well. I've seen it, and he looks like he's really working hard. Yesterday against Atletico Madrid, yes, he was his best game, 100% from what I saw as well. But I do feel sorry for him because we didn't buy him in the right circumstances. We didn't do the research on him. We didn't want him, because if we did want him, we do research on him and looked at him at RB Leipzig and saw him. And maybe repeat myself again, sorry guys, but this is what we do as Spurs fans. Again, rinse and repeat. Right? He had Openda making runs, and he had Sesko holding the ball. And who do we have doing that right now? Nobody. Absolutely nobody. All we have is Richarlison, that below average Emil Heskey, who, let's be honest here, has been our best player this month. Right? If you want to play for the season, and again, I don't like Richarlison, I'll get rid of him tomorrow. The player for the season at the moment for me is Richarlison. If you want to do that, if you want to be truthful, let's be honest here. That's me saying this, and I don't even like the guy. I want him gone. I want him get gone. You know what I mean? But the fact that this guy, when he turns up, right, he makes his chaos, but at least he's effective. You know what I mean? So we're not doing like giving Blue Peter badges to, young players like bloody Archie Gray. You know what I mean?
I guess
it's ridiculous.
I guess like it all depends on how much you put on Frank, because we all know Frank was risk averse, and many times where the players play on the pitch, he would either want them to kind of drop back or push a little bit higher in certain games. Certain games, like, there'll be 20 minutes to go. He wouldn't want to risk it. He wouldn't want the team to drop back in the shape. And so I think under Igor right now, from what I'm seeing, there's not a lot to go on. Obviously, the first 4 or 5 games was horrendous. I'm not going to act like Igor is, the answer right now after 2 games. Let's not do that. But what I can say is, if he is platformed right, Xavi Simons, he can be effective. I do remember Frank sometimes playing with 2 up front, but then sometimes he would leave Xavi out. So there was a period where he played Xavi off the left when he first came in. And there was periods where he played Xavi in the number 10. But then, as you said, he had one striker in front of him if he was the number 10, when really Richarlison's not the kind of guy that would link up play. But Solanke wasn't available to him for a lot of the seasons. And it's interesting now, if you have Solanke and Richarlison and Xavi, do you use Solanke similar to what Sesko was doing, like in build-up? Because we know that Solanke's a bit better at holding on to the ball. Therefore, Xavi Simons can make those runs in behind. And then you've got Richarlison pinning the centre-back to occupy maybe 1 or 2 players in that position. That frees up Xavi Simons and maybe helps his creativity. So it all depends on how we approach the game on Sunday and how we move forward from that as well, and what maybe
does Xavi Simons actually plays in that game? Does Xavi Simons actually play in that game? That's an interesting question.
I feel like Tudor, as much as I've got my questions and marks about him, he seems like he knows his best 11 already, whereas Frank took a year. You know what I'm saying? He took not a year, but he took an age to figure out what his best 11 was. Even to his last game, I still think he didn't know what his best 11 was. And he knows what his midfield is. I feel that Tudor knows what his midfield is, whether it's a back 3 or back 4, regardless. He knows like his best midfielders, players he can rely on. And I think the first few games, he had to quickly figure that out. Do you know what I mean? He had to figure out who he wanted in the squad, who would fight for him, and a few mind games for a few players that he knew were quality, but how can he get the most out of them? Do you know what I mean? But this is all me saying all of this. This could all go out the window because football changes quick. If we are to lose against Forest or to drop points, you know what I mean? This whole rhetoric, you know what I mean, can change very quickly. And there's a question from me I'm seeing in the chat.
Yeah. That's what I was going to bring up. Bring up to Big up, big up, big up, big up, big up. I forgot his name now. Damn, I'm very bad at this. No,
President. The president.
Philip. Yeah,
President.
sorry.
Big up
It's early in the
president.
morning, Philip. Just
No, man. Show some
early in the
respect.
morning.
President. You know what I'm
The
saying?
president. Big up to you, bro. Big up to you.
President
Big up
P.
to you.
Hey.
Big up to you.
Yeah,
Big
man.
up to you. You know what I mean? The camera's working madness, Phil. Yeah. So yeah, asthmatic. Would Javi be better as a number 10 if Spurs had a good left winger as well as a on the right?
It all depends on who's up front. Like I think what Alex was saying in terms of a Sesko, a forward player that can hold up the ball, that has the intelligence as well to hold up the ball, and then Xavi makes those runs behind, or the winger, the left winger. If we've got a left winger, yeah, definitely, he could work as a number 10 because the left winger, what he will do is he will invert and he will take the fullback away from Xavi. Do you understand? Xavi that will allow Xavi either to drop deep, spray balls. I know we haven't seen that this season, but I have seen that at Leipzig where he's able to drop a little bit deeper and find players that are making runs, or he can make the runs himself because that space is opened up because that left winger is making that run from out to in, and he can either jump into the pocket where the winger is, or vice versa. The winger goes on the outside and then he's able to drift inside, get a shot off. Do you know what I mean? And Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. Simple as that.
Do you think Alderweireld did that though? Again, a player that I don't rate, by the way, but do you think Alderweireld did that? Because Alderweireld did have a. This is not me saying it, but if you look at on the face of it, when he played, he did have that little bit of a.
Alderweireld's problem was end product. That's all it was. He did have a burst. So crossing ability, that needed to be worked on, in my opinion. His accuracy of crosses, his decision making, whether to fire balls across the box or to hold it up. Because there's certain times you get to the byline and then you kind of wait until players arrive there. And there's certain times when you need to drive to the byline and he's not doing that. And there's certain times when you're in that kind of pocket where you hit the diagonal ball into the box so the striker can run onto it, or a midfielder that's late running into it. So again, for me, it's all about reps. It's all about getting into those moments. And Odobert needed, for me, a few more games where, like, if he stayed fit this season, we would have been able to see if he could have grown into that position. I felt like he looked a lot better on the right-hand side, and he's been playing for that position for the French under-21s. And sometimes when you play in a certain position, you build up a better picture in your mind what to do, when to do it, because you're just used to seeing it and you're used to making those decisions a bit faster, but quicker. On that left-hand side, he started off well, in my opinion, when we did move him to the left position and we had no left winger. And then I felt like it faded slightly in the last few games. But I think it all depends also of Odobert, who's playing behind him as a left back.
Left. So you're talking about Adoji, isn't it? Adoji.
What happened was Jed Spence liked to drive into that kind of same pocket of the left-hand side of the pitch that Odobert liked to drift into. And so when that position is taken up, then it's down to Odobert to recognize that, to go on the outside. But then we didn't see many crosses going in from that outside when Odobert was drifting out wide. And equally, when he did drift inside, we needed to see more shooting prowess from him. I think with Tell, because he thinks he's a striker, when he does get into those positions on the left-hand side, he would opt to shoot. But again, it's just down to. But listen, I got to love and leave you.
Big up to us, Matt. I did say it's going to be a short, sharp for him, definitely. But thank you to him. He has to go very quickly. I knew he had to go very quickly, but big up to him. Please subscribe to Spurs Kings TV. Yeah, you should be subscribed to them, because they do a lot for the community, even though Marlon does waffle sometimes, but he's still my mate. He's still the underrated. And thank you to Asmatic for giving us that insight into the game. It was just really an impromptu show, to be honest with you, because I was on the phone to Asmatic and we were having a discussion. I just sat there and thought, as I got a bit of time in my hands, I thought I'd better just do a stream rather than talk about, to talk about it as well. Big up to people that are watching as well. Big up to everybody in the show as well, who's watching as well around the world as well. I haven't done a show for quite a while. And I think it's quite important. It's quite funny I'm doing a show today. On the other hand, because of the asthmatic, having a discussion, we thought we'd do it on the show today. But for a game that is very, very important for Tottenham's history, I say it's the biggest game of Tottenham's history in a long time right now. Because by the way I've spoke about Tottenham's future going forward, if Tottenham don't win this game, and I mean even a draw would be a dance squib for me, it would really show that we're in massive trouble. And going forward, I don't know where this is going to end. I think we deserve to get relegated, like I've said in my previous videos. 110%. 110%. But is it going to be now? Now it's the crunch time now for Tottenham fans and the Tottenham players who put a statement out, which I haven't got right now, but put a statement out speaking to us all fans, that now they need to step up. This is where the pressure is going to tell. Whether Igor Tudor has got a tune out of these players that he's been showing the last couple of games that some people have been talking about. So let's talk about it. And big up to everybody in the chat. Big up to everybody who's watching. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all for getting in touch with us in the show and getting tuned and stuff. So because it's really appreciated, especially for a short, sharp stream from Mr. Box Office. By the way, if you did watch Nottingham Forest did get through their Europa League game yesterday night. I think it was on penalties. I think they put half their squad out for the game. So they were thinking ahead a little bit to the game on Sunday against Tottenham. So they know how important the game is as much as we have as well. They're in better form than us, even though they haven't really won in a couple of games now. But they at least won in 2026. Now, we have won in 2026 as well. Yeah, 100% we have. With the game against Atletico Madrid, even though we lost the tie overall. But my question is Tottenham able to handle the pressure? Are they able to handle this pressure to get us out of relegation right now? I think back to 1998 when Mr. Box Office Alex was a little boy, a very young little boy, that had dreams, a young little boy had ambition. Maybe be a firefighter. Be a firefighter, like our lonely manager kills himself a firefighter. But his first 4 games weren't really firefighting, wasn't it? Maybe be a hero, like a Superman. Maybe be a singer. Maybe a footballer one day. Be like Sol Campbell, maybe. Don't want to rage quit people right now, don't I? But back in 1998, I remember that time so fondly when we were really close to relegation. And guess who saved us that time? It wasn't Christian Gross. It was a famous striker. And I think people can remember him, Jurgen Klinsmann. Jurgen Klinsmann saved us with Les Ferdinand, who was always injured, but got back fit. Chris Armstrong, Nicola Berti. We had Sol Campbell there. I think Justin Edinburgh, bless his soul. Bless his soul. I think Stephen Carr as well. I don't know if it was Ian Walker in goal or I can't remember who it was. I think people can remind me in the chat. I remember it. But that saved us. That saved us. And the rest is history, like they say. Big up to everybody. Big up to everybody. Just bear me a sec, guys. Bear me a sec. Bear me 2 seconds. Bear me 2 seconds. Bear me 2 seconds. as it's an impromptu stream. Just bear me a second. Bear me 2 seconds. Bear me 2 seconds. Yeah, bear me 2 seconds. Yeah. So big up to everybody who's watching, by the way. So yeah, it's just like I said, it was history, and that saved us. And Everton was saved as well. I can't remember who actually went down that time because I think we were saved after the second game. It was against Wimbledon. Remember Wimbledon those days? The Dons, they called it. You know, they were a proper football team. Proper football team they were. Absolutely a proper football team. But you know, we saved us by winning. I think it was 6-2. I think it was, and it was funny how that transpired. You know, it was kind of a result that really was saved us from relegation, but nothing really got better. Really, now we're back. Now in 2026. I never thought I would have thought Tottenham Hotspur would be relegation candidates, but I've got a surprise for you guys. Impromptu guest coming on. This is a guy that I've not agreed with. We didn't actually get on before. It's like I said about Kuva. But like I say, you have that bit of unleashing with each other, and then something beautiful comes out of it. Now, I still don't agree with him. No, still think he waffles. But to be honest with you, I do appreciate him. And it's one of those people that I still watch his show because he invites me. You know what I mean? And I appreciate it because he's somebody that I can learn from, even though I don't agree with him. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I give to you, George from Duride Diaries. Give it up for George.
Yo,
big up to you. Big up to you.
Love
big
the
up
intro.
To you.
Big up to you, Alex, man. I know you've been running from this cooking for a while, but I was scrolling on the YouTube during my work day. I was about to sit down and have lunch, and I see Box Office is live. I was like, oh, this is a rare occasion. You know, it's like in Pokemon when you see one of them rare Pokemons just pop up randomly. I was like, yo, Alex is live. Hey, we got stuff to address. Me and Alex have been meaning to do a stream for a long time, man. And like you said, it's just life. We haven't actually been able to work something out. But, you know, before we do anything, make sure you guys smash the likes, man. Make sure we need to get Mr. Box Office TV more subscribers because this is just quality stuff. You know, always landing the minerals because, you know, the box office, when Mr. Box Office says it, he means it. And like he said, we don't agree. So we got a lot to talk about.
I might have also another guest that's coming on as well, by the way, George, because yeah, I mean, I'm when I didn't realize that people were actually interested in coming on the show. I didn't realize anyway, but you know, big up to you for coming on. Big up for you to coming on. You know what I mean? Because it's the first time. You know what I mean? And big up to you. You know what I mean? But yeah, what do you want to say? What do you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about?
First of all, I think it's only right. When you just spoke about our first ever conversation, Alex, what was our first conversation on the terrace? It was heated. It was back and forth. What was that about? Let's. I want to take it back to there, and then we're going to talk about it now.
Archie Gray.
Archie
Gray. Yeah, it was Archie Gray. That conversation. It was Berval and Archie Gray. And yeah, I wasn't sold. You know what I mean? I should have done my research on Ange Postecoglou that time as well, to be honest with you, because I was always right about him at the start, really, to be honest with you. But I wasn't sold. I wanted more experienced players. But, you know, I do understand they were young players. And to what they're doing at the moment, it's okay. It's okay.
So Archie Gray's performances have just been okay still, you know.
Well,
still just...
yeah, no. It was a good performance. It was a good performance against Atletico Madrid, yes. But how long have we been waiting for it, though? You know what I mean? How long? You know? it was so bad. It's been so bad in midfield. Like I said, I had to apologise to Ellie about Højbjerg that I was criticising for how long. You know what I mean? It's annoying. It
has been so bad in midfield. But let's have it right. Archie Gray's barely played midfield. He's only just started to get his minutes in the midfield the last 3 games, I'd say. Prior to that, he was being chucked right back, left back, centre back, all over the gaff. But we've seen him in central midfield now for a couple games, like we had before. He's only really had like 2-3 game runs in central mid before, players return from injury and he gets chucked back out of the squad. But one thing we're not going to do, Alex, is try to downplay how good he's been. He's been really good for us. He's been really good. Now, I get where you're coming from, and you're going to compare him to the world's best. He's not near the world's best. But we're talking about in a time now, you're talking about relegation. You said this is one of the biggest games, this weekend in your lifetime, in one of the biggest games in a very long time. And when you talk about the performances of him, he's probably one of the only players that have acknowledged the position of where Spurs are and has put us on his back and said, you know what? The other players are not going to perform. I still am. I'm going to maintain the intensity levels. I'm going to push this team and I'm going to set the standard for where we need to be at. And he's done that the last 3 or 4 games. Not last 3 or 4. I'm being disingenuous here. Last 5 or 6 weeks, I'd say. He's done that. He's been one of the only players to continuously perform. Continuously. I'm not going to say stand out and be amazing all that whole time, but he stepped up when we've needed players to step up. So I don't think that can be denied from him.
I disagree a lot on that. I have to be honest. If you want to do that, Richarlison should get more credit than him. Let's be honest here, because Richarlison, right? And again, I don't like Richarlison. I called him below average Emil Heskey for a reason. I will get rid of him tomorrow. You know what I mean? I will not give him a new contract, even if even let him near that contract. I'll get rid of him tomorrow. But let's be honest here. This guy, right? Whenever he turns up, I know he causes chaos, but he's been our best player. I laugh at Tottenham fans that say that Archie Gray should be player of the season. I laugh.
No, but the player of the season stuff is like neither here or there. Because same as last year, Archie Gray will probably get it, just like Bergvall. And it's going to be funny because our conversation was the start of last season, and the 2 player of the years pro-star conversation are the players I was, supporting in Archie Gray and Bergvall. But that's another conversation. Them being our you are right. Them being our player of the year is an indictment of where Spurs are at more than anything. Because there should be no teenagers being our player of the years. It should be the Madisons, it should be the Xavis, it should be the players leading our line. But one thing we're not gonna do, with Richarlison, is I agree, and one thing we've always agreed on is his passion. He plays for Spurs and plays with his heart on his sleeve like no other player. Only player probably can compare him to is Romero, but even Romero checks out of games halfway through it. Richarlison doesn't check out. If he's bad, it's just because he's rubbish technically. It's nothing to do with his application, or trial of application. Now, I don't think you can sit here and say he's been better than Archie Gray just because he's put the ball in the back of the net a couple of times. His all-round play is poor, man. Like Archie Gray's all-round play.
I'm not. This is where we don't agree. We agree there. I'm not saying Richarlison has been great, play-wise. No, he's terrible. He's absolutely terrible. But impact-wise, he has been an impact. You know what I mean? I'm only going what I've seen. I'm not talking about him as a footballer. He's awful. That's why I want to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Right? The fact I'm actually saying this, George, I want to wash my mouth out right now. I honestly want to wash my mouth out. But this is how poor we've been. Yeah. Yeah. To keep on the point, what I'm saying at the moment, and track what we're saying at the moment, I'm just saying, if we're going to have the same argument for Archie Gray, which I've got to be honest, I've not seen him, right? I've not seen him. I think he's been lucky he's been in the team. I've got to be honest. I think he's been lucky to be in the team because nobody else has been able to compete with him, right?
But why have they not been able to compete with him? It's because his performances have been better. Because let's have it right. He's better than Gallagher.
Based on what?
Based on his Premier League performances, Gallagher's been awful. Gallagher's not. Let's have it right. You spoke about £40 million down the drain. We're not talking about Archie Gray there. We're talking about Gallagher. 200k a week, 40 million down. That's poor money spent. I need you to address that. No, I need you to address that, Alex. Yeah, I need you to address that because you were going heavy in on Archie Gray, but you haven't gone heavy in on Conor Gallagher, who came in with an expectation. 26-year-old, one of our highest paid players, £40 million, and what's he done? What's he done apart from cover some distance and chase shadows? What has he done?
Right. Okay. Right. If we're gonna do this, because we're not being humble here. We're not being honest, though, aren't we, George? We're not, are we? We really are not. Because let's be honest here, right? Archie Gray has been playing mostly in the positions that he's good at. Let's be honest.
No,
Yeah?
he played right back, centre back, and left back. He was shifted left back the other day.
Okay, but let's be honest here, yeah, right? Gallagher has come in and been playing. What position did he play last time? I
Played centre mid, and then he's played like right wing back one game.
Yeah,
but
right.
Again, Archie Gray played right wing back.
Right wing
Archie
back.
Gray played right wing back. He had a very good performance at right wing back, didn't he?
He's a right midfielder. Now, is Gallagher a right midfielder?
No, he played right wing back for one game, but again, he was. You're forgetting that Gallagher was here under Frank. He played central midfield under Frank, and he was just as bad. We're not going to ignore how bad Conor Gallagher's been. You know,
I'm not saying he hasn't been bad. He hasn't been bad.
He's been awful. No, he's been awful.
But we're not ignoring the fact that he's been playing in different positions, though. He's been playing in different positions.
No. You can't do. We're comparing Gallagher and Gray, and you're trying to say Gallagher's played different positions. How many positions has Gray played at Spurs? He's played every position in the back line. He's played left back, right back, and centre back, as well as playing wing back on both sides, as well as playing central midfield. He's played the 8, the 10, and the 6. So we're not gonna sit here and make an argument that Conor Gallagher's not been played in his position. Gray has played every position.
But what I was told that he's a utility player, though. That's the thing. That's what I've been told.
Archie Gray was a utility player.
He can play anywhere in our team in defence and midfield.
That's not what
Gallagher's not that type of player.
No. We was told Archie Gray plays right back and central midfield. They're the two positions he played.
Okay, so on that basis, then, right? On that basis, then that shouldn't be a problem for Archie Gray, then, isn't it?
But it also shouldn't be a problem for Conor Gallagher, because any central midfielder should be able to shift into right back. Come on, Alex, man. You're smart enough to know. Whenever we look at fullbacks, the reason why you see a lot of fullbacks that go into central midfield, or like we see right now, Reece James, central midfield, Pedro Porro last season when he was inverting into the centre, is because right back's not, let's be real, man. Nobody dreams and plays of like, I want to be a right back. Right backs, you get shifted there from other positions. So there's no natural right backs in the world. I just think that, Conor Gallagher got forced out there for one game and he was awful, but he's been awful even in central midfield.
I think it's a bit harsh on Conor Gallagher. Me personally, I don't think he's. I think he's an athlete, but he mainly is a midfielder in the end of the day, and he hasn't been playing in midfield most of the time anyway. He hasn't been playing in midfield. He's been playing in different positions. So for me, I think Conor Gallagher gets a bit of a rap because we didn't get that left midfielder that we should have got. Or winger that we should have got.
Conor Gallagher gets a rap because he's 200k a week, 40 million pounds, and we signed him in a window where we didn't need central midfielders. We're quickly learning, because we had. I remember having this conversation with Sava back in September when he wanted to sign Gallagher, and I told him, I said, look, Gallagher will come in, and the problem with signing Gallagher, if we didn't have Gray, Bergvall, and Sarr, it wouldn't be a problem going to get Gallagher, because he's at a similar level to these guys. But he doesn't come in, and he doesn't give us a level above any of them. We're not going to sit here and be, silly and say Gallagher's better than Sarr, Gray, and Bergvall. Now, I don't think those players are way better than Gallagher either, but they have different things about their game that you can say, okay, that adds to the team. For example, Bergvall, ball carrying, really good at picking up the ball, driving with it. Archie Gray technically levels above Conor Gallagher. What does Conor Gallagher bring to our team that none of these players have? Nothing. Come on. You surely you can see that Conor Gallagher in the long-term plan for Spurs does not fit in.
Yeah. Well, I think I see your point about him not being. We should not got him, and we should have got we should have got both of them. We should have got we should have got both the left winger and a central midfielder. That's not a problem for me. I think the problem is that we didn't get that left winger. That was the problem. I think that's the problem when you're seeing what's happened with Gallagher. Gallagher's the one that's been pushed around to different positions, which I don't really get. That's why I have my issue at the moment. What I don't agree with the fact that I think Gallagher is a little bit better than Sarr, to be honest with you, especially leadership. I think leadership wise, I think he's better than that. I think he offers more than what Gray does, especially
leadership.
Well, yeah, I think
But when you're comparing him and Sarr, your one difference between them is leadership. Alex, come on, man.
Well, no, I
We didn't
just think
sign Conor
understanding.
Gallagher to be a leader. We're not doing this, bro.
I'm not bigging it up so much.
You were just talking about footballing ability. Come on, let's talk about footballing ability. Who's the better player?
I don't think Sarr's that great either, to be honest.
So they're about similar levels. You agree with me? They're similar level. There's not much separating.
He's an athlete as well. I think he's an athlete as well.
So there's not much separating them. So we can agree with that. So signing Gallagher made no sense if we have Sarr, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, no.
No, you just said yes. So I thanks for that clip, Alex. You agreed with me. You agreed with me for once.
What was the question again? Sorry.
1 hour in, Alex agreed with me. He proved that he was wrong. After
what do you mean? What do you mean?
I'll take that one. Landed the minerals. Cooking number one. Should we go on to the next one? Should we cook the next thing?
You haven't cooked me at all. You haven't cooked me at all, George. What was that? What was that again?
I said, so if the only ability that you said was the different between Sarr and Gallagher was leadership, is it not fair to say footballing ability, there's not much separates them? So I was right in saying that signing him made no sense.
I don't agree with that. I like I said, I think you're just comparing oranges to oranges here. Let's be honest here, or apples to oranges, whatever you want to call it. I look at it and I say, right now for me that I don't see any difference between Sarr and Gallagher. I think Gallagher's a better athlete in terms of experience as well. Experience-wise, I think he's better. That's it, really. I don't think they're both footballers. That's the thing. So I don't think like I said, you're just comparing oranges to oranges.
That was just Sarr and Gray. So then, Sarr and Gallagher. What do you think about Bergvall and then Gray? Because they're obviously at a higher technical level than Sarr. So I'm sure you can appreciate. I
don't see this technical level that Gray's got. I think
now we're just being disingenuous.
I'm not being disingenuous at all. I don't think he's all that, to be honest with you. I don't think
you might not think he's all that, but technically you can't deny how good he can be sometimes. He's much better than Gallagher and Sarr.
This is where we disagree. I do think where you've got a point. I think where you got it right for me is that I do think Gray's technically better than Gallagher because Gallagher is not a footballer. He's not a footballer. He's an athlete, right? So that's where I think we can agree on that because I've said that he's an athlete, like Sarr, an athlete, right? But just because of that, I think Gallagher would offer more in terms of leadership, knowing the role a little bit more. I just don't think he's been used the right way. Now, whether I'm championing it rather than Archie Gray, I just think you're just comparing oranges to oranges at the moment. We haven't got a good midfield, George. We have not got a good midfield. Right, the fact that we're going over the top about Archie Gray and Bergvall sums it all up for me, right? And how many points have we earned this year?
No. That's we're not going back to that. We're talking about Archie Gray and Gallagher because I'm comparing their direct performances across Gallagher's time at Spurs and Archie Gray's time at Spurs. Archie Gray's a 19-year-old that you criticize heavily.
I criticize him.
You hold him to a different standard to the guys like you do Gallagher. Gallagher's not held to the same standard. It's not about how long. Because when we had the first conversation about Archie Gray, when you were calling him and Bergvall saying they were shit, they were not good signings, they were awful. That was 8 weeks into their time at Spurs. Just 8 weeks. That was in October of the season that they signed. So October of not 2025, of 2024, because we started streaming last season. In the start of last season, when Ange Postecoglou was in the start of his second season, right? That's when we started streaming together, right? So at that point, 2-3 months into signing Gray and Gallagher, Gray and Bergvall, you had called them out. I'm now doing the same thing 2 months into signing Gallagher, judging him off his time at Spurs and saying he's awful. He does not add to Spurs. And plus, I've watched him heavily prior to Spurs. Watched him at Chelsea, watched him at Crystal Palace, where he was actually, I pointed him out. I've got videos of me of YouTube like 4 or 5 years ago when he had his loan spell at Palace. Really liked him at Palace. Really liked him at West Brom. For those of you, when they got promoted, they had him on loan. He was really good in those first 2 years, but he is failed to elevate his game technically since then. So as a 25-year-old, you expect more from him than you do Gallagher, than you do Gray. And Gray's shown a higher technical level. But I can see that Dan's in the background.
Oh, there's a reason why I left it there. Yeah, don't worry about that, because I'm glad that you said something a little bit, give a little bit of a hint to the audience, because I've got somebody that might disagree with you, right? That wants to be added to the conversation. You know who he is. He's a very frank and honest person, direct to the point. Direct to the point that you know him from the Hotspur hood. And you know who he is. It's Dan E. And I'm going to add him right now. Big up to Dan.
Yo, mate, how you doing?
Yeah, big up. I know you're chomping at the bit to come on.
I wake, it's like you wake up and you have to listen to this crap that he's talking. Seriously.
You know, and I know on the other side of Spurs they don't like me over there because I land the minerals the proper way, the proper Spurs way. You know what I mean? No, I'm joking. But
well, mate, if you like the minerals the proper Spurs way, you don't like very good minerals, then, do you? And you must be unhealthy.
No, I just you know me, Dad. I'm more positive than anything. I think at this moment in time, don't need to sit here and talk about the season as a whole because we can all admit where the season is right now. But I'm focusing on just some individuals to see some positives, and I think Archie Gray's a huge positive, especially in the last 6 weeks.
Okay, let's go with that one. Yeah. Now, people think I've had a grudge against us. I mean, what is it they call it? No, if I say fetish, I'm meaning someone else. How is it an agenda as such? An agenda with someone as such, whereas I think a lot of our Spurs supporters more have a gender issue, not a gender problem as such. What I'm basically saying is, what a waste of money that was. Complete and utter spunk up the wall of 40 million and 70 grand on wages when me and Sava went through 5 well-trained, good players that you could have got at the same time for the same money for less wages. Now, if we wouldn't have concentrated on getting players like Archie Gray, like Bergvall, like Tell, like Odebert, we wouldn't be in this relegation position. There's a very high chance of it. What we got there with players with potential, and the problem is with potential, you don't know where potential goes. Potential can go over the roof and then potential can go down a cliff. If you want to go by a percentage of the games he's played for us, I do feel for him in the aspect of the way he's been thrown about the place. It's like he's been beaten with a baseball bat, basically. He's been knocked in every position you can think of. But when it comes down to the crunch, I can name about 3 games where you'd say in the 90 minutes he's been good, and he's had 1 game where he stood out. Literally every other game he's been a complete waste of space or a problem on the pitch. Is it his fault because of his age? And that's what people are going to say. Well, no, he's got a lot to learn. But on the other side of it, well, I'm sorry, if you're getting paid 70 grand a week and you're good enough, as they say, to be in the Premier League and play Premier League football, then you're going to get judged the same as everyone else. Bar that game against Madrid, which is the first game he has done anything to prove that he's got more than 2 minutes of any quality to him, bar a pass or something else in a game. It's the first game where he has actually shown solid that, okay, there might be something there somewhere. Not just a moment out of nowhere, basically. Apart from that, what has he actually done that is so great? Okay, he's had a bit of fight on him. I'll give him that as well. You could say the same about...
You mean the only player with fight? You know, there's games against Arsenal, Palace...
Only one. I wouldn't say he's the only one, but you're nearly right. I'd say Richarlison always gives it his all, not that it means not that it means a lot. So then you've got to give him the same credit.
Yeah.
Not that it counts for much, but he does do it.
I just think a 19-year-old leading a team of much older players in a moment where, like I said, he's only in his 2nd Premier League season, being chucked all over the gaff to still continue to show let's have it right. If there's any player to put his head down and be like, oh, I'm a bit fucked off right now, I'm getting played all over the gaff, it would be Archie Gray. You know, he's been played out of position continuously in these 2 years, but he's still stepped up, still maintained a good attitude, and in the last 6 weeks, again, really stepped up his performances during the time when Spurs have struggled.
His attitude has been good. There's no 2 ways about it. I'm not denying none of that. I'm not denying his mentality as such. I'm denying his quality, what he's actually got. I mean, like someone's just said here, it's very true. Don't forget how good also Harry Winks was. People going
Oh,
on.
give it a rest, man.
At one
Everyone's
stage,
talking about Harry
hang on,
Reid.
listen, hang on. Let me compare it. Yeah, at one
I agree
stage
with
he
it.
had a lot of potential. At one stage, people were saying he's really good, and then he had this spectacular game, like people say Archie Gray's game was against Atletico Madrid. Okay, he had a great game against Atletico Madrid. Yeah, Harry Winks had a great game and pretty much dominated at Real Madrid. And then look what happened to him. He fell to pieces quite nicely after as well, when all the Spurs supporters got so hyped up that we've basically got someone to replace Modric. And there you go. I mean, if you go by how they've played together and you go by what you've seen of them, Sarr and Gray is the worst centre mid we have had at Spurs. If you go by stats and facts, that is the worst centre mid pairing we have ever had at Spurs. Even Skip and Winks playing in the middle was not as bad as them two together. Now, in due time, no, it wasn't. Go check the stats. Go check the stats.
Don't mean anything, though. I watch football with my eyes,
stats don't mean
No,
nothing.
but it doesn't.
Stats don't mean nothing. No,
because when you're judging a performance of a midfield duo, you don't judge it off of stats. What stats? Do you tell me?
Stats are part of it.
No, but what stats are you using to judge that then? To directly compare performances of players?
What you've got to do with the midfield is obviously, I don't like stats when it comes in and says someone's had a 95% game of passing with 150 passes and 5 of the passes have been 5 foot of them. I don't agree with that sort of thing. But when you just look at things as a whole, at their time, Skip and Winks actually.
But what is as a whole? No, Dan, because this is what I'm not going to do.
How many? Okay, how many they get? Okay, now go and check. On what part do you want the specifics on?
I want to know what stats you're directly comparing, because at this moment in time, it seems like
going games they've played
doesn't have.
No. Going games they've played, going at like how many balls Skips intervened and how many things the Winks did and that. Sarr, he's got literally nothing. He has a shot here and there. They were both stronger in midfield than them two.
That great. I don't think either.
No, I think Sarr's. I'd rather play Gray than Sarr. But go check out the details of when they've played together.
Yeah, but Sarr and Gray have only played a midfield duo 2-3 times. They've only played as a.
That's what I mean. They're that bad.
They've only played as that because, again, I don't think, for one, Spurs don't play with a 2-man midfield. We haven't. We only have under this manager. And even then, it's been changed quite a few times. Mid-game, you'll see Xavi dropping into the
I think they've played, what is it? I think we've seen them play about 6 or 7 together now over the season.
But just the midfield 2, or are you talking about as a midfield 3?
As a midfield 2. It depends what you want to call a midfield 3. I don't call a midfield 3 when you put class it as 3 there, but the 10-man sitting up there. I don't class that
if the 10's not there, but then sometimes you see
4-2-3-1. I think they've played together about 7 times. I know you can't really compare it fairly because the other two played together in the centre mid a lot more. But I think them two in midfield are as weak as it possibly gets. Physically, skillful, everything. About the only thing one of them's got on him is an engine and the other one's got fight on him. Best thing that could happen to Kane is go stick him. He should be on loan now. Go stick him on loan over in Germany for a season. Do what a real big club does. Go send him out like Saliba until he can come back focused on that position. Do you think all the positions we've played him in has actually done him good?
I think it's done him really good. And from a guy that's been around sort of environments of football, when players play multiple positions, it helps them learn. They understand the game. Their IQ of the game goes to another level because they're seeing the game from different points of view every single time they're in a different position. You know, being at right back and being centre back and being left back in particular. When you look at a central midfield, you can now analyze the centre mid's game because you're behind them, majority of it. You're looking at the positioning, you're looking at where they're picking up the ball. So you can learn a lot from playing those positions. And also, you know, what we've seen from him is the physicality level. He's still not there. I definitely still think he's got some way to go physically, but he's been adjusting to it. And I think those games in defense have helped him, adjust to the physicality of the Premier League.
Physicality, well, I'd like to know where he got it from because he still gets knocked off the ball by a little nudge on the shoulder. He's just as bad as Tell and Simmons.
He's 19, so come on, Dan, man. He's 19. We're not
but I don't care. We're playing a man's game, are we not?
We're playing a man's game, but you're not going to expect the 19-year-old to shrug off a 30-year-old, are you? Like, it's just not going to happen. But he's still in the Premier League. He's still getting paid Premier League money, so you still expect a performance. Now, I understand that what you're saying, but then you're basically giving a weak spot in your team an excuse to be weak because of his age. Well, if he's not good enough to do that, then he shouldn't be in the bloody team.
Again, we go back to the problem through giving players like this excuses that should not be in our first team because they're not good enough at the moment, might be good enough in due time, but we give them excuses and then we complain that we don't spend money on big players, but then we back up players like this and then wonder why we're in a relegation position.
No, but this is, I think this is something that you and Alex do far too often. Is you'll take an individual analysis and try to picture it across the whole season and say this is why we're here. No, like this analysis on Archie Gray.
Oh, I'm not saying it's purely because of him.
No, I know you're not saying that, but
overall,
what you're saying is, like, we can all agree, again, Spurs, young players being our best players. Like, let's say Archie Gray gets player of the year this year, for example. That's an indictment of where Spurs are at. We can all admit that. That's not something that we can't acknowledge. But what we can do is we can talk about Archie Gray's performances in isolation and not talk about, okay, look, Archie Gray performing and him being relied upon right now is, this is why Spurs are in relegation battle. Because we're here whether we like it or not. Archie Gray wasn't playing when we got to the relegation battle. For the period between
he's been a big part of it.
Because the period between December and January, when Frank was managing and we had a lot of players available, Archie Gray was playing, but he was not the primary choice in midfield. We're not going to act like he was the primary midfield choice. He never was the primary midfield choice.
He was a big part of the team, same as the
but
rest
he was
of the
never
team
the primary midfield choice.
Well.
So the primary midfield choice was João Paulinho, Bentancur for large parts of the season until either of those got injured, and then we started to see Sarr get thrown in there, and Sarr was a primary part of that sort of concoction of players. But Archie Gray under Thomas Frank,
how many games has he played then?
I would imagine. See, this just off the top of my head. You can get the stats up. Under Thomas Frank, he would have only had 4 or 5 starts in the Premier League, no more than that.
I mean, the thing I definitely felt for him is when we did play him a lot of the time and he did actually get a centre mid game, he usually ended up getting put against Liverpool or Aston Villa, and that's not easy for no one. I'll give it that. The problem I have with it is he is not good enough here and now for what we actually... He's made 20 appearances.
That's and subs, though. Like, subs. How many starts?
No, 4 subs. 20 appearances and 4 as subs.
In the Prem?
So bring it up.
Yeah, bring it up. That's very surprising. I can't imagine him having 20 starts this season. Not something that
it says here what I'm looking at. If I read it properly, sorry. Goals, minutes played 1,293. Yep, it's got everything here.
Dan, send me the link. And I'll have to put on.
I think that's what I'm saying. I think he's played more than some people might actually realise. I'll put it in the private chat for you. He's been a big part of Spurs' problem along with the whole team. He's been involved in it just as much as the rest of them. The whole team has been a problem. This isn't just focusing on him. My point on him is I don't think he's good enough to be in this team, and we should have better players than this. That is my whole point with it. In due time, I think he can be a good player. I think they definitely need to focus on what he's good at instead of throwing him about all over the place. Real big teams, when they go and get players in like a Gray, they go and stick them straight out on loan to get them experience, to go and get them consistently good in their position, to then do one of two things, and that's either use them themselves or sell them on. No, we like dickheads at Spurs go and buy Archie Gray for 40 bloody million when there's much better deals out there, then go and spend another 20 million on an Odegaard, another who is he, and then we go and get Tell, who a lot of people say was wanted in Europe, so wanted that Spurs got him so easily, for 40 million. What a waste of 110 million for them 3. Are you telling me for 110 million we could have not got 2 steady, solid players that could do something for this first 11? But people will accept here and defend Tell, Odegaard and Gray. Okay, they're younger. They need a bit of leeway. I get that. But I'm sorry, it's a dog-eat-dog world. I don't care about people's emotions and feelings when it comes to hurting a player or that poor player is younger or older. I support Tottenham and I want Tottenham to play. I don't really care if you throw a player under the bus. I care about how the club does. And at the moment, we are in this position because we have players like Tell, Odegaard, Gray, Bergvall.
Again, I don't think saying Tell's not played much this season.
No, but I'm saying players overall that we've got, they should not be in our
the signings. I think we can all agree that when the signings were made, them being priority signings were the issue. I don't think them actually being signed is the issue. It's the fact that we signed them and don't couple it up with bigger signings. Because every other big club signs players. Like every other big club signs players like them, but they always sign experienced players in the same window to ensure they aren't relied upon. So I don't think the singular signings are the problem. It's the fact that those are the only signings. That's the issue.
Yeah. So if we're going to make the only signings, we've got to make some decent signings then.
But we know why Spurs don't. It's money. Like, you know, there's certain things that like
it ain't about money. It ain't about money. Sorry to interrupt this conversation, but I do say, thanks for the link, Dan. I don't think it's about money because we've got money to spend. We've spent money. We spent money over the years, and that's been proven by what we've seen previously. The net spend's been very high, and I think only the top 4 teams. I think Chelsea are in there, Man City are in there. I can't remember, Dan. I think it was what Sava was showing us. I think it shows that we have spent a lot of money. It's just that we spent money on the wrong.
What it is basically, I mean, wages has always been the thing that holds us back. Even Gareth Bale said it. But we are the 5th biggest spenders in the Premier League. Full stop. We are the 5th biggest spenders. However 100 millions it was, I can't remember exactly. I'm still trying to wake up now.
We're about $1 billion.
Yeah. So, and then if you money we take, it works out about 700-800 million when you take off the money that we've received as well for players and that. So around about 800, I think it is. Either way, we're the 5th biggest spenders. And if you look at what we've spent it on, we have spent it on total crap. And if you know you've only got 40 million to spend and 70 grand on wages, and you need to improve that team, why the hell would you go and buy an Archie Gray? Why the hell would you go and get an Odobert? There's no, and that is the reason. And then people at Spurs complain that Spurs are a big club. Then they say they expect Spurs to buy like a big club. We want bigger players. We deserve better players. Look at the money we pay for our bloody tickets, everything else. But then you'll get Spurs supporters turn around and justify Tell, Gray, Odobert, Bergville, you can justify it. 8 million is a little tuppence in the pocket. But then they try and justify the players as well. So what I'm asking, Jan, is what do people actually want at Spurs? Now, if we could have the best of both worlds, you get a player like Archie Gray in, great. I do think he's got potential, but I just don't want him in the team at the moment because I don't think he's got what it takes to get us anywhere. And we should buy the player next to it and let him evolve and have the player ready, steady for the place already. But
then we do that. In January, we done what you. But in January, we done pretty much what you're suggesting. So we went and got £40 million, spent it on an experienced player, but he's just as bad.
If you look at what he's played, Gallagher, I think Gallagher's a good, solid player. I think he's a much better version of Sarr. Sarr, I think he's absolutely atrocious. I'd stick Gray on the pitch over Sarr all day long. I think Gray is absolutely shocking in every which way possible. He's in the wrong sport. He should be in athletics. That's all he can do.
Same as Gallagher. But that's why I've compared them so much. They're athletes. We saw Gallagher come on against Atletico Madrid.
Gallagher is more of an athlete.
He had more. He fell over himself more times than he had passes completed. He's awful. He's awful.
He hasn't been good since he's been at Spurs. But then he's only been at Chelsea consistently and been captain. Was excellent at Crystal Palace. Was good at Atletico Madrid as well. If you actually go and watch his games there. Since we've had him, how many games he played for us? About 6, isn't it?
Yeah, he hasn't played a lot.
6
I think he's played. When's he played centre mid? I think it's once or twice, isn't it?
Nah, he's played centre mid majority of the games. It's only like one. No,
I don't think he has. I think he's played. No, he's played on the right. He's played on the right wing twice, if I remember correctly. He's been put on the right wing twice. He's been put as a wing back once. I know that. Some players are more adaptable than others, yeah? Gray, one thing you can't take away from him, he's a very adaptable player. Not necessarily saying he does well in those positions, but he's adaptable. But if you're a more adaptable player, that doesn't make you a better player when it comes to your actual crunch of a position. You can blatantly see that Gallagher is not a very adaptable player for a right wing or a right back, blatantly. Stick him in centre mid, you'll get something out of him. But go stick him as a
He's
right
played,
back.
so I'm seeing it here. He's only played again. He played right mid twice, and then every other game he was centre mid.
That's right.
Right mid,
No,
right wing back.
what game was it? No, they stuck him as a
He
right wing
come
back
on as
well.
right wing back. I know what game you're talking about. He did come on and played right
Yeah.
wing back as a sub, but he never started that. He just like 20 minutes. That might have been Arsenal.
Okay,
maybe.
but it's again
under
that's
two.
where he's had. Okay, but you can still say it's where he's had to play, and it's like the thing we keep doing at the moment. Like when we stick Porro as at the right of a back
Centre-back.
three, he can't defend for shit. That come love nor money. He's probably our worst defender. Again, I would rather stick Archie Gray there, yeah? So I ain't giving him credit. I think he's a better defender than Porro. Porro is awful in every way, except he's a good wing-back, or was, and that's what he does. I do think Gray is a very adaptable player, and I do think in due time, if played the right way, we can have a good player out there. I just think people getting way too hyped up over one game. And if we're going to be honest, and we look at the team we've got, and if we was to build on that team, would Archie Gray, Odegaard, or Tell be in your first team, or Bergville?
They're going to be in Bergvall. I've said the thing is for me, I'm a massive fan of Bergvall. I think he's absolutely class, and even at our best, in the last 2 years when we played good football or good games, Bergvall's been quite a bit at the center of that. So I actually think he would be. I would build our team around Bergvall, definitely in the midfield.
What does he actually deliver or perform in?
What does he? So this season, he's been played in the number 10. When we talk about him, he's not a number 10. He's very clear to see he's an 8, 6 hybrid, box-to-box midfielder, I'd say. In the midfield, very, very good ball carrier, tenacious. He's good in the challenge. Someone who never jumps away from a challenge. You need those types of characters in midfield. Good technically, can definitely improve his long-range passing. Good short range. Definitely needs to improve his positioning. I think sometimes, I think maybe the managers we've had are probably their midfield setups haven't been the best. Ange Postecoglou just crowded out the midfield with too many players, and Frank just completely by-sided the midfield. So he hasn't been under two managers that positionally have helped him fix his IQ in the midfield. But away from that, like he's a very good player, I think, and got a lot of potential.
Again, has done nothing to prove that he's a very good player. What he has proved is that there's a player there. He's done nothing to prove he's a very good player, because his problem is, again, this is down to age and experience. But then I speak again, I don't care about your age. I want you to perform on the pitch, basically. If you're not ready, you shouldn't be on the pitch. 9 times out of 10, he's quite good at getting the ball and getting the ball forward with it.
Very good at that. That's the first thing he does. He always
great. Great. Well done. What happens then? He either loses the ball, spoons it over the top, or passes it behind him. How many times does he have a shot? Hardly ever. How many times does he get a crossing? Hardly ever. Yeah, we could probably sit here and go to a percentage of, but he done this in that game. Yeah, about the only game. He never does anything at the end of it. Ever does anything at the end of it, bar maybe one moment or two. If anything, there's more chance of Sarr passing the ball forward than Bergvall doing it. And Sarr's even worse than Bergvall. Then make me wrong. Make me wrong then. Make me wrong.
Can I be devil's advocate? Because I've got to be neutral on this now. Because
final third, he does nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Dan, you know that I'm not a big fan of Bergvall, right? Okay, because I think he's a prodigy. Yeah,
a lot of potential there.
But do you think to go a little bit towards what George is saying, do you think that Bergvall gets a little bit more credit because he's stepped up than other midfielders haven't stepped up? Yeah, that we should give him more credit for what he's done so far, as he's very young, right? I don't think that should be an excuse in my opinion, but just to be more mutual on this, right? Okay. Because he's very young and other midfielders haven't stepped up, especially in his first year, being the player of the season. Do you think he deserves a little bit more credit for that at the moment because of that as well? Let's be honest. You know what I mean? Or do you not? Just to put a little bit of balance to it.
No, fine. Put all the credit in the world you want to him and that. He's still not good. He's still not good enough for the first team, for what we want in a first team. I mean, when we talk about,
I don't know what level you're talking about, though, Dan. You're maybe talking about Champions League.
Answer my question that I asked you. No, answer my question that I asked you. How often, when he actually gets forward with the ball, do you see him do anything more than pass
Very
the ball
often.
sideways
Like,
back?
when we're talking about pass completion, I don't have a problem with his pass completion. He's not one player that loses the ball.
He
Going
doesn't.
forward. I don't know
No,
what
but
games
he
you've been
doesn't
watching.
take. He doesn't take.
Again,
He
maybe
doesn't
if you're
take a
talking about under
shot.
Frank,
He never goes for the cross. He never goes for
he's
the
not.
direct
Again,
ball.
maybe if
He
you're
does
talking about
nothing
this
in the
season
final
under
third.
Frank, if you're talking about this season under Frank, again,
Under
where he's
Angie
picked
was
up
no
the ball,
better.
no, under Angie,
Under
never had
Angie
that
was no
problem because
different.
What he done was he and his best facet is in the first and second phase of the game. He's not a third phase of the game player because he's not a number 10. So when he gets the ball into that position, he's not someone who's going to make the final pass. At this moment in time, in how he's been, built as a player, he's not that type of player who's going to get you the final pass. That's not who he is. That's why we saw, Ange even throw Archie Gray in the 10 at sometimes and put Bergvall behind him because he knows Archie Gray's technically better and he's got more of an eye for a final pass. We've seen that this season with the assist that he's got from some crosses. Bergvall in the first and second phase always moves the ball forward. Never really has a problem with that. And I
always loses it and does nothing with it.
Man. That's disingenuous. He won up there this season for a reason last year.
That's a fact, mate. That's a fact.
And one thing that I don't like, that I know you and Alex that don't do, is used to don't rate Frank, don't rate Postecoglou, but then you'll get on to young players who are supposed to be coached by these.
No, hang on. Don't stop you there. Yeah, I did rate Frank. I wanted Frank. And I couldn't have made a worse decision if I tried. I'm one who could put my hands up when I get something wrong, not just try to have to talk my way out of it or whatever. You get me on something wrong, straight away I'll sit here, or you even give me a better opinion, I'll sit here straight away and change my mind and say, do you know what? Fair play. Bad decision. Very, very bad decision. Frank was my third choice. I'll accept that I got that one wrong, yeah? Bergvall, a player... He should not be in a team like us for our first 11 if we want to do things. On the subs bench, okay, I can deal with that. But I think you're missing what I'm saying. I think you think that people just pick on the younger players or whatever else. No. The reason they get that much attention, they didn't ask for their wages, their ages and all that. I get that. But they're playing in the first 11 and they're in our squads as such. And when you look at other teams, you just look at how much of a shambles it is that we have to go and rely on players like that. And then also people moan that we should be a big club and in the top 6. And again, they justify things like that. We need to do better than that. We need better players than that. If we want to get out of a relegation battle and even have a chance of surviving next season, we can't afford to be playing players like Bergvall, Gray, Tell, Odebert and all that in the first team. We can't afford to be doing that. I mean, when you look at any of those players that we've said there, how many of them, in a personal opinion, how many do you think that make it into any first 11 in the Premier League consistently?
Again, though, but we see around the Premier League a lot of young players starting. Arsenal start Max Darman, he's a 15-year-old. Miles Lewis-Kelly played a lot of football last year. Like all the top teams and all teams in the Premier League have youngsters that they play and that are going to be at similar levels to the youngsters we have. But again, maybe in moments they prove it that they're better, or moments they play good, then they're bad. That's just part of being a Premier League club. To say which ones start at which level club is, who knows? Because I feel like one thing that, and I know you know this, Dan, is when you're in a better environment, young players, they often look better. So all the Man City youngsters, for example, they come through and they look amazing because they're at Man City. They look a lot better. They're in a
That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
Can I bring up this point that Mandy's just put up here? He says, but guys, you're talking about two different things. Jaws is judging the last game. Dan, yourself is judging Gray general for Spurs.
Basically.
Do you think that's kind of something that you want to sort of interrupt? I'm just bringing up things.
His last game, if it goes by his last game, he was solid. I think Simmons was man of the match personally, but I think Gray was a very close second. And like I said to you at the very start, that is the first time since he's been at this club that I've seen Gray do anything that would make me want to keep him at the club and see how far we can go with this player. Bar then he's had a moment or two in a game and that is all he's done. For whatever reasons it might be, being played out of position, out of this, out of that, he has done absolutely nothing to stand out for a 40 million player on 70 grand a week. That game there is enough to make anyone sit there and go, okay, you've showed us something now, boy. Okay. Now go do it 5 games straight and I'll start giving you a bit of credit. Yeah, and if he comes out against Nottingham Forest and falls to pieces like he does in 9 or 10 out of other games, then it makes that game totally irrelevant, does it not?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
No, because I'll be honest, against Nottingham Forest, I don't have let's have it right. He's going up against a very good midfielder. He's going up against Elliot Anderson, who's been classed as one of the best midfielders in the league this season. So it's not like I'm going to sit there and be like, oh, he needs to perform better than Elliot Anderson. If Elliot Anderson outplays him and controls the midfield like he has in a lot of games this year against the best midfielders, I'd just be like, do you know what? He come up against a better player. It's fair be it. Like, I don't know. I'm a guy who's into combat sports. Sometimes a fighter can be really good, but he gets knocked out by a better fighter. It's just it's part and parcel of the game, isn't it?
Oh
like,
yeah, but difference with that is all you got to do is close your eye for a split second, and that backhand or elbow puts you across the other side. Trust me, I know what you're saying. Yeah,
no, I know, but what I'm saying is, like, because you lose doesn't mean you're not good. For example, so if Archie Gray doesn't have a good game this weekend against Elliot Anderson, and Morgan Gibbs-White, good midfield pairing, quite solid, played together majority of the season, I expect Nottingham Forest midfield to look better than ours. Like, our midfield hasn't looked great. Even in that game the other day. The two-man looked okay and it was good at times, but even then, like, I'm not confident going into a Premier League game with a two-man midfield. I don't think it's smart. We'll get overrun and we'll lose the ball a lot.
To be a good player, there's one thing you need. That's consistency. This is why I have this debate with people when I say, if you give me a choice of who I'd play over a season, when you say Danzo or Romero, I'd pick Danzo over Romero. People say that's crazy. I say, no, there's a reason to it. I think Romero's one of the best players.
Should be our captain.
Yep, I did say that.
I think Romero on his day is as good as anybody. But one day you get a 10, one day you get a 1, then you get a 4, then you get a red, then you get a yellow, then you get a 6, then you get a 10. Whereas with Danzo, at least you can say he's a solid player, good player that you'll get a 6 or a 7 out of every game. The consistency counts for a lot. It's all good having a quality player that can jump in and all of a sudden do brilliant out of nowhere. So my point is with Gray, he has basically jumped in and had an excellent game, really good game. And then if he now deteriorates and does nothing like he has done most of the season for the next 4 games, that makes this game totally irrelevant.
Yeah.
He's give himself a level now, yeah? So come on then, boys, stand up to it. Let's see how much you got in you. Go fight and prove a point. And then I'll definitely have respect for him.
I hear what you're saying.
I just don't know if he's got the consistency to do it or the quality to do it. Was it just a fluke game? We shall see.
I hear what you're saying, and big up to George. Do you have to go soon, George? Do you have to go soon?
Yeah, literally about to hop out in a couple minutes. So I've got a couple more minutes. We can talk.
You got a couple minutes. Okay, cool. Because I'll let you go in style like we always do on the Box Office TV. You're not going to just dip like that, you know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I do hear what people are saying at the moment, right? Okay, about Bergvall. I mean, I think at the moment, he's the only midfield, well, other than Javi Simmons at the moment, and it may be Archie Gray at a push. He's our only footballer at the moment. There are footballers at the moment because, obviously Kudos, he's injured. We've got no Maddison. We've got no Kulusevski. So at the moment, there are footballers at the moment that could try and change again. Listen, again, I know Dan's looking at me weird saying this. I'm not saying this out of like I'm clutching. I'm clutching at the moment. Yeah, I'm just doing this as a host. Yeah, I'm a host here. Yeah, right. I'm
Devil's advocate.
Devil's advocate, right?
That's the better phrase to use. Don't say you're clutching. Say it's devil's advocate.
It's not like I want to say this, yeah, because my feelings on him. But my point is that I do think that he is that footballer that might do something, might change a game, give us a little bit more energy. He's got a bit of something bite about him, got a little bit of skill, a little bit in that final third. So, do you think he could have that effect? Or, especially against Nottingham Forest, do you think that would be something to use or something like that? You know what I mean? Or it would be something, do you think, or not?
You're talking about Bergvall?
Yeah, Bergvall, yeah. To add to the conversation, yeah.
Yeah, I think he will. I think Bergvall definitely adds something different to the game at the weekend. I think one thing missing is tenacity. Like, Spurs just haven't shown enough fight in the last 2 months, and having players on the pitch that, Bentancur, Paulinho, like, let's have it right. They're just foulers. But I don't know, someone who's played this football, I love having someone like that in my team. They disrupt the flow of the game. They put the other team off. They, just constantly kicking at someone's ankle, a couple late challenges. You need to have players in there like that. And I think Bergvall adds that to us, a bit of nastiness, and going back to Mourinho, I said, you guys need to be, you need to be cunts.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be like that. And if you aren't like that, you're too nice. Teams treat you like that. So that's definitely something I think he adds to the game and adds to the midfield. And, like you said there, on the ball ability, we've missed it heavily.
Before you make your point against George, Dan, I've got somebody else.
No, it's not against. I'm going to agree with him on this one.
Well, I'll leave you to in suspense to that one. I've got a new guest coming in as well. He's been on the show before. He waffles so much. He's an Ange fan. Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. He's an Ange fan. He keeps on digging at me all the time. Yeah, but I love him because he talks waffle, but I still love him. You know what I mean? And big up to his channel as well, Designated Spurs as well, because he's doing well for himself as well. So big up to Manny.
Big up, guys. Big up. The only person who can take on Alex is in here right now, right? Big up, guys, man. Big up. I was working, and one of them days where you think, oh, you know what, today's gonna be a nice, relaxing day. Little work, just relax a little bit.
And here we are.
Your manager comes in and he's like, right, I need this done. So I was like, right, let me listen to these lot. And I was like, let me just join a little bit and see what is going on. But big up for having me, man. Just so people know, Alex is the second content creator, actually the first who actually got me on ever after my first interview. So big up to you, Alex, man. But listen, sorry, can I say something before you guys go on to that Bergvall thing, right? Yeah. With the Archie Gray thing, that's the point I was making, right? Where I agree with Dan, if we want to be a serious football club, right, to be taken seriously at the top of the Premier League, when I say at the top, I mean top 4, top 5, top 6. Archie Gray at his current state is not going to cut it, right? And the bit that I agree with George, and the bit that I always say, I even said that in the group chat last time, is that Archie Gray gets a lot of flack because of the stupidity of our board. Because what you would want as a serious football club is to have 3 quality senior midfielders who are good enough to be at the top, to compete at the top with the top players and top teams, and then have Archie Gray coming in, studying in from them, gaining his experience, and then flourishing to at some point taking up that mantle. George, you mentioned Max Dowman. You're spot on. How many times does Max Dowman start for Arsenal? Not many, because he has senior pros that are in front of him, and when he is needed to come in and actually show his quality, he does. I think that's the bit that I'm firmly like, it's the board's fault that we are in the situation, and it's
the way the club is run.
Fault, not Archie Gray's fault. It's the board's fault. It's not Archie Gray didn't go into the negotiation and said, right, pay me 70 grand or I'm not coming. It's the board's fault, unfortunately, that we are in a situation that we are, where we haven't got senior players that should propel us to those top 4, top 5 places. And instead, we've got a 20-year-old kid who really and truly, he's had a great game in the last game that we had, but it's not at the level that we need in order to compete where we want to compete. I think that's the bit that I wanted to give my 2 cents. 2 cents.
That's the bit that that's the bit that I am basically heavy on as such. The way the whole club is set up, I know that it is terrible. But then I can only focus on the players that I see on the pitch at the end of the day when they're having a good or bad game. And when they're having a bad game, which is most of the time, I will say they're having a bad game. And when they had a good game, they do. With what you said with Bergvall there quickly, though, I agree with you. I do think there's something in that player, and it does show. It's just the main thing he needs to improve on is his delivery in his final third, whether it's a pass, whether it's a cross, whether it's a shot, whether it's a direct ball, whether it takes his other man on. Because in his final third, 9 out of 10, he never gets it right. But in due time, where he's a young player, let's hope he could. He's a player that should be maybe on our subs bench. there is no way he should be near that first team. Same as Gray, same as the others. They are not the players ready yet that are going to can take us up a level, basically. I mean, are they even the players that can rescue us from relegation? You know, they are not players that you want in your first 11 when you are a so-called big team, like people say Tottenham are, a big club who is looking for a Champions League place at least, sort of thing. They are not players that you want in your 11 or even on your subs bench even at times. Is that their fault? No. I think people get mixed up that people blame them. No one blames them. You blame the club. It's like you go and buy a car and the engine blows up. Well, is it the car's fault or is it the people who made it? It's the people who made it, obviously, and that, yeah. But you're still going to get out the window and probably kick the car, probably hurt your foot in the process, and half blame the car at the same time. We can only blame the way Spurs have played on the manager and the players on the pitch. We are in a relegation because the manager totally screwed it up and the players went through a stage where they just look like they don't care or they just haven't got it. So they have to take a significant amount of the blame as well. Even if it should be run better and done better. Do you think these players can play better? Do you think they're in the right position? Or do you think this team is more of a top 10 team?
When you say, like, what players are you referencing in particular?
The whole team.
Whole squad. I think there's a few things. I do think the managers haven't helped. Like, I think it's been years of poor coaching has failed players developing. Like, let's say, for example, Pedro Porro, you would hope that in the years that he's been here, he would have developed a little bit more just with his actual IQ with the game. Because I think technically you can tell he's got a technical level.
Yes.
He's good. He's got a very good technical base, but his IQ is so bad at times. Why? Because the managers he's been under have coached him so poorly to be, Thomas Frank made him a robot, a crossing robot, get to the byline or get near the byline and bloody cross the ball. Like, I think some of the coaching of the players we've got has been so bad that they've not improved. And then there's some players just a lack of want. Like, there's clear lack of desire from some players. Now, I think the last 2 games, you're starting to see a little bit more fight, you're starting to see a little bit more desire. And maybe in the rest of the season, we might see them have more belief in themselves so they start to play better again. But
maybe that's that push they needed, sort of thing. I think that's what we're all hoping for, isn't it? I mean, when people said to me that Spurs played shit against Liverpool and everything, we was terrible against Liverpool. The thing was with Liverpool, they just did not have their finishing shoes on. Simple as that. But even if you're at the top of the table smashing for the league title and someone offers you a point at Anfield, you're still taking it.
Yeah. I think bear in mind, right, Dan, that
I'm happy with a point at Anfield. I was over the moon with it. I mean,
there's always
there, isn't it?
There's always context, right? Like you've gone away to Anfield having 13 injuries, 13 players injured, right? Playing a team at a ground that we never win, regardless of what players we have. But to be completely honest, I can't even remember the last time we got a point at Anfield. Was it the 2-2 Wanyama screamer? I think. You know what I mean? I think that was the last 2-2 that we got, and then post that. I don't know whether it was the Ange era in the first season where we were 3-0 down, came back 3-3, and then stupidly Lucas Moura gave the ball to Jota, RIP, to put that in for free. It's a ground where we don't get points, right? So to get a point there in the manner that we did after going 1-0 down, 100%. To me, it was the fight. It was more about the fight. It was more about the mentality. And as you said, we're not in a. I think people need to realize, right? We're not in a top 4 battle. We're not in a top 6 battle. We're not in a top 10 battle. We are not even in a top 13 battle. We are in a relegation battle. Yes. So we are at a point in time where the way we play does not matter. Like, I know Stel is on a major campaign, big up to him, right? About us getting relegated. But I am not on that. I'm not on that. I'm not on this relegation business. I do not want this team to be relegated for many reasons. One, anyone who thinks ENIC, and I'm you guys know already, I'm in corporate finance. Anyone who thinks ENIC is going to sell if we get relegated is in cuckoo land. There is absolutely no top level, whatever you want to call it, business person who's going to sell their asset as soon as the asset loses valuation. It's not going to happen. They're just gonna gamble on the chips and say, right, let's get the team back up, and then let's try and build it back up to the valuation that we had. Right? That's first and foremost. And two, it's all about points right now, guys. And back to your question, Dan, about the team. It's a really, really, really tough one because
it is, isn't it?
We've built the team in such a bad way, and I think you guys have mentioned it. I think Alex has mentioned it. I think Dan, you've mentioned it. I think George has mentioned it as well. The chopping and changing of playing style when it comes to managers, right? That we've had ever since Poch has literally had a whole mishmash of players, some who are low block players, some who are gung-ho players, some who can't pass the ball, some who can pass the ball. It's a whole hot mess from top to bottom, right?
Yeah.
That's the first and major thing. Do I think this team is a team that should be 17th, 16th? No, I don't think that. However, what I said when we had Ange and what I said, and I have sympathy with Frank as well, is that when you start getting a certain level of injuries, FY, aka 10 injuries, 11 players injured, like first team players, the team is not built, is not good, is nowhere near good enough to be able to sustain much. And I think that's the reason why we are where we are. But this team, for the life of me, I was saying this at work, right?
Manny, can you hold that thought? Manny, can you hold that thought? Because the reason why I'm holding that thought because Jules has to go. So big up to Jules that serves as come on the show for you today, for us today. By the way, Jules, we need to do a stream together on the show. I think I think we're gonna have to do one-on-one. I think one time. You know what I mean? So yeah, big up for you turning up though. You know, because I know people are busy and out there, and that's it. You know what I mean? So, and especially this is short.
City guy.
Yeah, I know.
No, it's all good, man. I appreciate it.
Be subscribed to Duro Diaries, by the way. Be subscribed to Duro Diaries. I know he waffles, and he'll claim that he owned me, but he didn't own me at all. It just I let him have his type of shine. You know what I mean?
Got cooked, man. You know, like
nah.
He have a response. He was speechless, but no,
I wasn't speechless, bro. It's just that you know, at the end of the day,
you're learning that you got a host. That's what it is. Now he knows what I'm like.
I'm a host, bro. You know what I mean? So I have to welcome people. You know what I mean? I've got
facts, big facts. And it's good to be hosted on your channel, Alex, man. Make sure you guys subscribing, liking. Big up to all the boys. Always a pleasure. I feel like these types of streams are the best ones when it's just random. It's at a random time. We just pop it up and everyone's got things to say. But we'll get some time in again soon. And yeah, big up to the boys, man. Big up Dan and Manny as well.
Take it easy.
Enjoy. I'll be watching.
Big up. Take care. So that's George coming on the show today. First time on the show as well. So yeah. Back to you, Manny, to finish your points.
Oh, what the hell was my point?
This is why I feel bad for interrupting you, mate.
Nah, all good. But listen, the overarching point, right? Oh, yeah, that's it. The point I was making, right, is I was saying to my boss is a Crystal Palace fan. And I before the Palace game, I was saying to him, we're losing that game. And he was like, nah, we are bad. I was like, you haven't watched Spurs at the moment, right?
You're bad.
Listen, I'm telling you. But the point, one of the things I said to my boss, right, and I was saying to him, and I know that this is not how the world of football works, but if these players literally took us down, if I was the owner, what I would do is I would force these players to stay and play in the championship that they have got us into, because the likes of Romero being on a 5-year deal, Van de Ven being on a 4-year deal, I would literally force them to play in the championship. And if you don't want to play and you want to sit, just like Sterling, sit in with the under-21s for a whole year, then be my guest. But unfortunately, that's not the world we live in. You know what I mean? And yeah, from my perspective, as I said to Dan, Dan, I don't think these players are the position that we're in. We have been, coached so badly for a number of years now. And that includes Ange. And you know me, I loved Ange, but I also said last season that the position we were in was still unacceptable. The fact that he was so stubborn and decided we will still play gung-ho, even with the number of injuries that we had, was still unacceptable. Like that's the bit
it was
of thing.
part of the problem. I mean, Manny,
know what I mean?
there's one thing we miss. There's one thing we miss at this team, yeah? You go and get our best team and put it together. Yeah. I still say if you put that best team together, it looks best with 3 at the back for the players we've got playing with wing backs. Has it seemed to work that way? No, it hasn't. But then all of a sudden we play that way for the most of the game against Madrid, and all of a sudden it works. You know, that's how quick things change at Spurs, isn't it? But I still think that's how it looks best. But do we play best that way? It doesn't look that way. The one thing this team looks, even if you put our very best team down there, maybe if you add, say, a Maddison to it, it changes things a bit. The thing this team has is no chemistry whatsoever. Nothing. No chemistry at all. Now, player for player, it's not the worst team out there for sure. And it is not a relegation team. That should be a top 10 team. That is not a relegation team if player for player. But there is just no chemistry there whatsoever. When people say to me, this is the worst Spurs team they've ever seen, player for player, no, it's not. I've seen worse Spurs teams than this player for player, which obviously their teams had a couple of stars in it and the rest have been really bad. But as a team as a whole, the way it works, where it's got such a lack of chemistry in it, you know, like when you used to play FIFA and you used to really want that player, but you ain't going to put that player in there because he destroys the chemistry in your team. We haven't got no chemistry in there at all. There's no players understand each other. It's a total, like you said, it is a total mess. I mean, if you want to go to a team that had chemistry and know-how and that, you go back to the 90s and you look at a Germany team where you could put bandanas across their heads or blindfolds and spin them around 10 times and they still knew where every player would be on the bloody pitch. You get what I mean? Whereas here...
On what you've just said, right? There's also one other thing, right? Which we seem to, I don't know, I can't remember which show. I think I was watching both you and Alex on either yesterday or the day before. There's one thing as a club that we now have literally decided to forget about for whatever reason, and that is having a manager and a style of play which is about playing football. We now, for whatever reason, have forgotten how to play football. We don't know the players don't know what to do with the ball. And I think, again, that's the reason why I keep going on. And I know you guys have talked about it at length with regards to this happy protest, and I'm in the chat laughing and whatnot, right? But it's a serious thing. This board has got us into a sphere where we do not have any strategy from the top. No strategy. There is no, and I don't even, when I'm on streams, I don't even want to mention his name because of how irate I get, but Lange has got no power to direct how the team should be playing by bringing in the right managers and right coaching teams to play that way. And that is also a major, major issue. Because if we did, we wouldn't be going to get players like Gallagher who can't pass the ball. We wouldn't.
It wasn't what we needed. I think Gallagher's a good player, but he was not what we needed.
I think it comes back to what we were saying before about identity and philosophy and what is the point of us coming into this at the moment? You know what I mean? This is why I say, and again, I don't like this guy. I didn't like this guy. Dan, you would know this already because I think you were around when I was saying this. I didn't like Fabio Paratici. Didn't like him at all. I didn't think he was cooking. I was arguing with so many people over the past how many years. You could ask Sim. You can ask Irish Hotspur. You can ask David Harris. You can ask what's his name? I forgot his name. David Harris is a co-host as well. You can ask them. I didn't like Paratici, but what Fabio Paratici did show what a director of football should be as a director of football. You know what I mean? You know, he knew the role. He knew what to do. Whether he was good at it doesn't matter. He knew exactly what to do. He got the right people in, because when we got the people in that he wanted, we were okay. We were okay. Not that I liked it. It was okay. You know what I mean? Difference is that he didn't understand what the club was all about. Didn't understand what we were as a club. You know what I mean? And
I liked him, Alex. I liked him. I liked. It wasn't just the fact, and I know people obviously go through the list of players that.
But it's not about the players. It's not about the players that he got.
But even from Alex, even from that perspective, right? I keep saying to people that football and the way we run a football club, it's not linear. So if you bring in Campos today, right, from PSG, and instead of giving him the autonomy and the freedom and the money to spend on both transfers and wages, you hamstrung, you put padlocks on his hands. He's not going to be able to do anything. And I think that people don't realize how much control Levy, ENIC, whatever, have had over the club and over these directors of football as well. And sometimes that, in my opinion, also brings directors of football down, because you don't build and you don't become a director of football in one of the biggest clubs in Italy by fluke, right? And I genuinely think that if he was given the autonomy and the reign and the money on both weight, and I'm very careful, I'm very conscious about the words I'm using, wages and transfer fees, you would have seen a difference in the way, in the sort of players that we were bringing in. And that's the thing. But in terms of him and the connections that he had, I think that was good for us, and that was something that would have propelled us to the next level. But instead now we have Lange, and I don't even know whether we're going to bring someone in. Do you guys think we're going to bring someone in with him? Or do you think that ENIC are just going to, well, not ENIC, but Vinay is going to just rely on just Lange? I'm not sure. At this point, I don't even know.
For me, I mean, now we've gone down this route. I think I've repeated this so many times now. For me, you get rid of this whole thing about this double director of football. That's the first thing. Get rid of it. I don't understand it. Secondly, you need to have an identity. What you want. What do you want? And then what's the plan? What's the plan going forward the next 5 years? Right? You have the plan of what you want in the next 5 years. Decide the identity. Whether you want to play free-flowing attacking football or gegenpress football.
Yep.
You want to do that? That's fine. Go and get the right guy. Dan, you're okay? You're okay?
Yeah, bro? Yeah. I'm still waking up, mate.
Cool. So you do that, and then you get the director of football to fit that profile, and that director of football makes and chief executive sets the tone of what you want to do, right? Sets the tone of what you want to play, where you want to, set it up, and then you start looking at the coaches, and then you start looking at the players to fit the identity and the philosophy of what you want to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what you need to do from top, bottom. That's it. Simple, right? If you don't do that, where we're going, you know what I mean? Because for me, just getting random players because you've got no philosophy, just going because you want to play and compete on all fronts means absolutely nothing to me. You know what I mean?
Spot on, Alex. And one other thing I wanted to mention, which has just got to my mind just now, right? And I'm very much like Dan when it comes to this whole thing of, because for me, if I say something or see something and then you prove me wrong the following day, I would happily change my mind the following day without any care, right? That is just me. That's how I am, and that's how I want to be. With regards to ENIC specifically, right? And the way sometimes I do ask myself, especially when I look at the summer transfer window, and Dan, you can tell me what you think about this, right? Mm-hmm. when I look at the summer transfer window and I look at the players that we were going for, at the time I was on Savage shows, on many other shows, and just like a lot of other people, I was agreeing that we were targeting the right caliber, right? So we've got Kudus, right caliber. We was trying to get Morgan Gibbs-White, right caliber. We're trying to get Eze, right caliber. At the time, we got Mwani, Xavi. I was thinking the quality is what we were looking for. Do you guys think that maybe, especially with the way the January transfer window unfolded, do you guys think that maybe ENIC themselves wanted to spend the money on the right players, but they were advised wrongly by Vinay and Lange by saying, let's hold off and not, especially in the January transfer window, let's not spend now because we're not entirely sure about Frank, and let's spend properly in the summer. Do you think that they are now at the moment being maybe not unfairly, but being judged based on the advice that they have been listening to by Vinay and Lange?
Well, then with that one, then they're even thicker than I thought. I mean, because for 25 years they haven't employed the right one to tell them how to do it, have they? So okay, bar one or two maybe. Then there's probably other words for them, but I won't use it. When it comes to that, the whole thing is just a shit show through and through, from top to bottom. From the actual owners, this is why I always have that side where I stick up for the likes of Daniel Levy, because I look at more than one side of a problem, or more than one side of a person as such, because everything has at least two sides to it. And then when you speak to a woman, there's probably usually 20 sides to a story. But again, that's a different point. When it comes to it, Levy was not all a total wrong un, and yes, he got a lot of things wrong on the football side, done the business side, great. At times, do you think he actually wanted to do more on the football side, but the one upstairs wouldn't let him do it as well? Because it wasn't really until the end that people started acknowledging that maybe Levy wasn't, well, it's only since Levy's gone, a lot of people have actually said, okay, he wasn't the problem, one of the problems. Right, there you go. Yeah. Your main excuse is now out the window. You can't now just blame the whole world on Levy. I mean, you can't blame World War III on Levy anymore and whatever else on that. So who do we blame it on? Then they have to look. So people actually scratched a little bit higher to try and find this main problem at Spurs. And lo and behold, it was sitting there the whole time at the very top. And Levy was just a very good bulletproof vest for him. Not saying he was good for the club in the football side. The problem is at the top. They can't employ the right people to do the football for them. They can't seem to bloody do it. They haven't got a clue about it themselves. And then it goes down to the managers. We very rarely get the right manager in there for the situation. It's down to the owners, basically, for the people they have employed, and Levy and the managers he has employed, is why Tottenham Hotspur has absolutely no way of playing as such. So many people think the Spurs way to play is this attacking, stylish football. Yes, because we've won like that in the past. If you go over the past 60 years, about 30 of those years at least, or even 40 of those years, we haven't played that sort of football.
Yeah, there's
no style of play at Spurs. There's what the fans want, but if that's not what the people upstairs want, you're not getting it.
Yep.
Where we have no consistency of style of play is where we go into the positions like that you talk about and other people talk about. We've got a team that is just so all over the place that it doesn't work for any set style of football, because it's got so much of a bit of everything in it, and it totally destroys the chemistry out of it as well. So the problem starts at the top and at the owners, and then it comes down to the people we employ next, directors of football. Then it comes down to the managers. Also, the players with their attitudes and everything and that have done no favours. Mickey van der Ven needs a good slap in the face, if you ask me, yeah? And then to me, it also comes down to the fans as well. And this is where I'll have a dig at the fans on it as well. It's back to the same phrase I use over and over again. When I see fans keep preaching on and praising and defending players that should not be in this first team, Forget about hurting someone's feelings, but should not be in the team. But then start moaning that we don't pay the extra wages, moaning that we're a big club, moaning that we ain't buying the big players, but then defending the crap players that we do get in. And then over the years, have done absolutely nothing about it when the problem's been right under their nose, even though it's been set up to do things about it. And then we'll just moan about everything, but will they turn up to a protest? Do you know what? Most of them didn't even need to turn up to a protest because they was there. They left 150 of us standing there like a bunch of mugs, and 55,000 so-called Spurs supporters just walked past us, give us dodgy looks. Do you know what? Enjoy the championship. You deserve where you're going to go. If that's my attitude, if that's people's attitude, I think the problem goes all the way down to the fans. I think the fans are just as much of a problem as the rest of it. They do nothing. They accept mediocre crap, and all they do is moan about it, but absolutely nothing about it. Even Arsenal up the road ended up nearly causing a riot where they were punching each other out and then realised, divided and conquered, hang on a minute, teamed up together, and what was it, 7,000 of them outside the stadium and they got what they wanted. With our lot, 55,000 people just walked past 150 people blatantly standing there shouting out the problem.
Mate, on the day,
let me say last bit. Sorry, Manny.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, there's one last bit I forgot to add to that. This protest that was meant to be happening on Sunday, I went and got a ticket and I changed my wife's hospital appointment. And then they cancelled the protest for this little hands up thing where I might as well bring an LGBT flag with me because it'll blend into the situation better. It just bollocks to them. Yeah, it's just as much of a problem.
I definitely agree with you from the perspective of, I think I don't know whether any of you guys went, but I went to the Palace game where it was a must-win game. One of the biggest games of the season, right? We were 3-1 down at halftime, and I was furious. So I didn't stay for the second half. But as I was leaving the ground, right, to go home because I have an hour and a half journey to Cambridge, and if I was thinking, if these players are not going to put in the effort, right, why the hell should I be putting the effort to come and watch them? There was a sea of fans just in the concourse having a lovely conversation with a beer. And I was thinking, am I the only one mad at the situation here? And I was like, I was in shock. I think that's the bit where I was shocked, like to the core, that fans had come to watch us at home v Palace. We had a red card by Van der Ven, losing 3-1, and they were just having a jolly. And I think that I don't know, because when it came to that Super League, you saw a whole load of people come together at one. So it is possible. It is possible to do, but people just choose not to do it. People just choose not to do it.
Other clubs do it.
Sorry, at Spurs, people just choose not to do it, and I mean, unfortunately, that's a big shame. But what can we do about it? Or like us people were saying, what can we do about it? If
you know what?
It's
with what you said there. You're so right. When I went to that the West Ham game where the so-called protest was, I mean, I've organised bigger piss-ups in a pub, if I'm going to be honest, and that's not an exaggeration. You know, so and I walked out after with 5 minutes to go. Do you know what? I'm gonna dodge the queue sort of thing. I'm just gonna go out. I'm just gonna go out and smoke a fag. Go out there, roll up the fag, stand there smoking a fag. Fellow up comes up, asks me for a fag. So it's all right, mate. Yeah, rolled him up one. There you go. Said to him like, "What do you think of the game?" "Nah, we live. I'm sure we'll win the next one. Cheers, mate." And carries on. And I'm just thinking, like, what the like, can I have some of what you just had in your previous cigarette, please? You know what I mean? It's like, I was just like, wow. Like, I bet your woman has an easy life. You know what I mean? Like, shit.
People are there for a jolly, man. People are
almost expected the fella to growl at me and snatch the cigarette off me and start shouting at me. You know, like that was fucking terrible. And I'd have
Vibes
been
FC.
like, I agree, but no,
People are there. Exactly, Alex. People are there
Vibes FC.
for just for vibes and for camaraderie and to meet a friend. Whilst and again, I heard I was hearing the back and forth between Rain and Lubo yesterday on Savage show. It comes from the top. It comes from the top, from the sense of when the people at the top decide that actually we are tired of being this banter mediocre club. We want to strive for excellence, right? And if you beneath me, if you, the leadership team, are not going to strive for excellence, you are out the door. What does that do? That makes the leadership team look at the team beneath them and say, if you are not striving for excellence, you are out the door. Then that cascades down and it all goes down. And then it goes down to the players. It goes down to the fan base. Because I keep saying to people, Manchester City's fan base, right? In 2002, we're not looking at it thinking we need to win the league this season. I don't know what league they were in. It was only when the Sheikhs came through that then they started instilling that excellence and putting the money behind it. And that is when now you've got the likes of Boovy, you've got the likes of Stevie, what's his name is the Big Six Steve, right? Talking as if they've been the epitome of excellence from the 1800s. That is what, and that's what we don't have. For us, just like Harry Kane said before he left, he said, at Spurs, if we lose a game, it's all right. Let's win something else next. Let's try and win next day. You know what I mean? Whilst at Bayern Munich, at Chelsea, Chelsea, I don't even know what they're doing at the moment. But Arsenal now, at Man City, etc. If you lose a game, there is an inquest. There is an inquest.
The other thing is with that, yeah. I mean, now I do get on a lot. Like people say, why do people focus on negative so much? Why couldn't we just spoke about how great Atletico Madrid was and everything else? Yes, but then I still like to again look at the whole thing and what's coming on ahead. An example I give of that, of like what you said, where there's a meltdown when they lose. Man U used to win a game 5-1. As soon as they went into that changing rooms, what was the first thing Alex Ferguson would do? I've read 2 of his autobiographies. What's the first thing he would do? Totally lose the plot on them conceding that goal and how they conceded it, and would sit there and make them sit there for a good hour going over that goal conceded. And then he'd praise them for what they'd done. Now, people say, well, what does it matter? You won 5-1. You ignored it. No, if you want to improve, if you want to fix a problem, you've got to look at that problem and answer that problem. Even when you speak about how good a game was, unless it was spectacular, you've got to bring up the bad points as well. And the one thing Spurs supporters all they ever want to do is just bring up the good about everything or try and ram it in your face that a player's excellent now that he's had a good game. I just think we have a fan base that just totally wants to play ignorance is bliss to how much of a problem this club is actually in and how poor it actually is. And this is where I feel fans are part of the problem. And I feel you're totally right. It has drifted from the top, basically, because it's got back to that point now where our younger generation as such coming in, the supporters, have seen, okay, they've seen us win a European Cup, which was easier to win than the League Cup, but it was still a cup. But they've seen nothing compared to what other people have had to give any evidence that this club is meant to be a big club.
Yeah.
And it has.
By the way, guys, got to jump off. Alex,
big up, Manny. Big up, Manny.
Take care, fella.
Thank you for coming on. And like I said, you're always welcome on the show, even though you waffle a lot. But big up to you. Big up to you.
Don't we all, Alex?
And please subscribe to Designated Spurs. Big up to you for coming on as well. I mean, I think it's very interesting, the conversation you're having at the moment. You know what I mean? It's just it's a bit of a mess at the moment, Dan, from what we're seeing at the moment, and
just a bit.
And we know there's not really much. especially with the, I mean, I know we're talking about the protest, but I think there's, in that sense, I think a lot of people, and I think still would be the best guy to say this, because he got frustrated what Manny was saying. That I don't think some of the fan base have really realised how much trouble we are still in. If you have to be honest with you, I mean, yeah, I think some people mostly have realised. A lot of people have realised that we were in trouble, but the fact that people after the game didn't, haven't, just went off and just had a pint after the game, that's doesn't show, that there's a fight towards, trying to get back to our, get the club back to football. You know what I mean? The fight and togetherness to try and, compete with these owners that we've got. I mean, how are you feeling at the moment in terms of the ownership and what why the fans are not really coming together to protest enough to try and make the owners feel a bit better, feel uneasy?
Do you want an honest answer?
As long as it's not swearing, but go on.
Okay, then I can't be too honest.
As long as it's not too much.
I was being sarcastic.
Yeah.
Basically, this fan base we've got here, I've learned a lot of it doing YouTube and going to a few Spurs games and everything, and that it's pathetic as a whole. That's not aimed at everybody, but I'm aimed as a whole. It's pathetic. It's all mouth. It's just like Tottenham itself. The fan base actually mirrors Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. All action, all words, no action. They might as well, I mean, what is it? To dare is to do. Well, I think the Spurs fans have got the same name, the Spurs, that Tottenham Hotspur should have. It's not to dare is to do, it's to dare is to make do. And that is basically what the Spurs fans do as well, a majority. Like I said, that one where I stand there and 55,000 people just walk past us, half of them giving us dirty looks, couple taking pictures and smiling, saying, go on, and then just walk off in there like they couldn't care less. You then sit there and you just think, do you know what? You deserve the club you've got. Because no other club would sit back and take, who's meant to be a big club as such, would sit back and let it get run like that for so long. Even when we had the big protest as such with 2,500 people there or whatever it was, I think majority of people now agree on what I was saying from the start of it, why people were there. I think more than half the people were there because they wanted Ange out, not because they was bothered about ENIC or Levy.
I was there, I could agree with you a little bit there, to be honest. Yeah,
and when it comes down to it, our fan base as a whole is just as bad as the owners. They do nothing. There is no fight in them. There is no muscle. And then when you even have the chances to have protests when people are genuinely angry, oh no, I'll tell you what, we're going to cancel the protest to blow the players some whistles and that when they get off the bus, when they don't even get there on a bloody bus. It's now in the stadium, I totally get it. Do you know what? Back them. Don't boo them off now, even if they are shit. Don't boo them off. Keep it going. Try and get them some support. I'm totally with that. But then, after the game, how about people standing there for 10, 15 minutes after chanting, we want ENIC out? That's easier than even doing a protest, and it'd get noticed even more than the protest on TV. But no, people can't even do that. We start getting smacked in a game. What do the fans do? Up and leave when they could actually sit there for the next 5 minutes and start shouting, we want ENIC out. No, nothing. We're weak. We have a weak fan base like we have a weak football club. And until you're willing to fight for something you want, you're not going to get it. Not through luck. Very rarely through luck anyway. And that is just how I look on Spurs and I look on the majority of the Spurs fan base. That's not everybody, but a majority. And people say you're slagging off your own fans, whatever else and stuff like that, I've been told. So yeah, too right. And then put them up your queue in front of me and I'll tell every single one of them.
Yeah, it's
embarrassing.
It's hard.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, a lot of people are saying that it's going through lots of Spurs content. Is a lot of drama, especially last night, from what I've heard. But I didn't watch myself. I've got to be honest. I mean, to move it on to the last part of the show, because I'll say, thank you to everybody that's come on the show. This was just an impromptu show, just to remind people. Me and Smatty were just talking, and we just thought, you know what, let's just talk about this on the channel, because we have long conversations generally anyway of football. So I didn't envisage, the show to be as long as it has been, and also the fact that Jaws has come on, obviously Dan's come on, and Manny's come on as well. So thank you to all the guests that's come on as well. But what's your feelings on the Nottingham Forest game coming up? What's your feelings on that at the moment? Just the last part of the show, Dan. I know it's not. I know it's not something to look forward. I know it's not really something to really feel great about at the moment, and looking forward to at the moment, because it's going to be a hard game. Like I said, it's the biggest game going. For Tottenham, for me at the moment, the way it's built up as well. So, what's your feelings on the game? And
with that one, mate, I won't deny it, and I think I can vouch for a lot of people on this one. I am sweating for this one in that aspect, because I do think this is our most important game in probably 20, 30 years. This game can have more effect on us than winning that Champions League could have. Because I think if we win this game, that's 4 points clear of Forest. That gives us that bit of breathing space. Then that's a draw and 2 wins back to back. Even though one of them isn't in the league, the Champions League win was still a very good win and a good play by some players to give you that bit of push and that bit of momentum that we might have needed. Whereas if we then just go and lose to Forest and West Ham have a decent game as well, we're in the bottom 3. We are then in the bottom 3. And then do I think this team has the fight? I think this team has got more capability to stop itself going into the bottom 3 than getting out of the bottom 3, if that makes any sense.
I agree with that one, to be honest with you. I do agree on that one.
This game is very, very important. We need to win this game. I don't think a draw is good enough in this one. Okay, a draw would keep us out of the top 3, but we're literally still sitting on it. A win is what we need here, come love nor money. I don't care if they have to cheat to bloody get it and get a handball in the back of the net or something. I really don't care how they do it. Go do what you got to do. Play good football, dirty football. Do what you got to do. We have got to win that game.
My thoughts is at the moment, I think I agree with you. You need to win the game. Nottingham Forest, I still think they've got more about them than we've got in terms of goals. I think that's just me, because I think Morgan Gibbs White, Anderson. I think the game's going to be won in midfield for me. I think it's going to be won in midfield. Because I don't think the strikers, both teams have got good strikers at the moment.
I think they got a better defence.
Yeah, better defence. Yeah, I agree.
I'd take Milenkovic. And what's his name? I can't pronounce his bloody name. The other fellow, I'd take him over Van der Ven and Romero personally. I think they're more stable defenders, better defenders. But that's just a personal opinion.
So I think, and I would say kind of to agree, because I don't think Van der Ven and Romero, even though Van der Ven was good at the start of the season, he's tailed off a lot. I think that they've got a better defence than us, and maybe arguably better goalkeeper than us as well, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, I think that's the team. He's mind you, he's gone at the end of the season anyway. No matter what's happening, he's going. It's like there's
rumours that he's going to go.
It's going to happen. I mean, I'm not too happy with it personally. That's my second team, but I think he'll be better in Italy because he'll have more cover in front of him. In Italy, the way they play, it's not so much about being a sweeper keeper as it is in the rest of Europe. So I think that league do him all right. He's a great shot stopper, but the rest of it, he's terrible. He's got to go, mate.
So yeah, he's done well in that sense. So yeah, so I think in that sense, I think it's going to be a draw. If I'm going to be honest, just to answer the question in terms of prediction, I think it's going to be a draw. I don't think either team are going to win the game. I think they're going to be very frustrated. I think we're going to get a goal, but I think Nottingham Forest will score as well. And especially our home form has been terrible in the league, absolutely awful in the league. 2 home wins in the league. So, and Nottingham Forest are not stupid. They're going to take this game really seriously as well, obviously, because they're in trouble as well. Obviously.
Of course they are.
And they're not. They rested a few players for their European match as well. So, you know what I mean. So they know how important this game is. Even though they play extra time, they're not going to be silly. You know what I mean. So, yeah. So I think for me, it's going to be a draw. I think it'd be a score draw, but I think it's either us getting the point or they get a last minute point or something like that for me. So that's my opinion at the moment. I don't think Nottingham Forest will win, but I don't think we'll win. That's me at the moment. For me at the moment.
I think we've got enough to get a win out of this. But then with what I've seen all season, we've got enough to get a draw or lose the game either. That's the thing with this game. Anything can basically happen. But if we can get this win, I think this could basically save our season.
We give them praise for what they're saying. You know what I mean? We'll give them praise for what they're getting the win, but I'm still not happy. Just so we can just put people on notice, I'm not happy because this isn't, for me, this is where I agree with Stel at the moment. And we deserve to get relegated, right?
Oh, the way we've played, yeah.
By stats and by what numbers, we deserve to get relegated, right? So whether people say, oh, you want to get them relegated, well, stats say we need to get relegated. That's the facts of the matter. Bottom of the form table in terms of Europe as well, right? I think the last time I checked, points per game, 0.5, right? So for me, this isn't me just saying it. Factually, I'm right. So for me, at the moment, until we lift up those figures, I ain't changing that. At all. So for me, at the moment, yeah, we might get out of it. I still will not be happy. So you can say that I'm negative. I'm just saying, for my football team, not to get past 40 points should be a shambles, an absolute shambles. Yeah? And you might think that's me unleashing or having a rant. You can call it how much you want. It's just the truth. And that's all I've got to say. But what do you want to say, Dan? We'll wrap it up.
We are where we are, mate. There's nothing we can do about it now except play to survive, basically. We can't change the season. We can't change what's happened in the season as such. So but the thing we do have a say in is what goes on in the future as such, i.e. the players. And that is they've got to get their finger out and get their act together, basically. Otherwise, we will be looking at relegation. So we have to win this game through and through. And then we also have to get about another 5 points. And I think we can be clear. But that also depends on the attitude and how well West Ham and Forest play after those games as well. But we've got to survive here one way or another. And it's going to take the players. And it's only the players and the players' mentality that can do it in the end. And this is where I think this Forest game is the massive one that could give them that extra kick, like, right, we're a bit clear now, let's get further, or the one where it just drags them down to the floor.
And also as well, I've got to be honest as well, like the manager, like I've got no, like this whole thing about, oh, we need to give him credit. Yes, give him credit, but I still want him out. Like, he's a temporary manager. So, you know, it makes no difference to me whether he's done well or not. He's doing his job to get status up, and then he's gone. He's gone in my eyes. So I've got no affiliation. I've not had an affiliation with the manager since Poch, and I didn't even like Poch at the start. So this whole thing about, oh, we need to give him credit. Well, yeah, but he's gone at the end of the season. So who cares? Who gives the monkeys? You know what I mean? Even if I wanted Harry Redknapp, I would still expect him to, or Ryan Mason, I still expect them to be out the door at the end of the season, because we need a bigger plan. There needs to be a bigger picture here.
As long as he keeps us up, that's all that matters at the end.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters. And also, last thing I need to say, it's all good doing messages and saying, oh, well, players putting a message out to the fans and saying, to give them, something to say that they're going to do something for us fans. It's all good, but words mean nothing to me.
Actions speak louder.
Actions speak louder than words. So, I think it's silly. You know what I mean? And then even Dan's getting tired of it, because you can see he's in his face. He's getting tired of it. He's yawning at it, because he knows he's heard this before. You know what I mean? So words mean nothing. Actions speak louder than words. So that's all I've got to say. So big up to everybody who's on the chat, in the chat. Big up to everybody who's watching around the world. Thank you for all watching. I know it was a very short notice show. Thank you to all my guests, Dan, Danny. Big up to Asthmatic. Big up to Emmanuel, Manny, and big up to George as well. His debut on the show as well. Big up to him as well. We'll do something more with George as well, because I do have to take into account that he hasn't really had one-on-one with the great one, the main event, the Professor of Truth and Entertainment, the ratings killer, his nightmare, and everyone's guilty pleasure. And everyone's, if you don't know, you should have got to know already. So big up to everybody on the show. And on the day that we all are praising Archie Gray and praising the Tottenham squad for winning against Atletico Madrid, the only thing I forgot was we lost overall and we're out of the competition of the Champions League. So they're really kind of short-lived of success there, let's be honest here. On the day where we got the biggest game of our history to save Tottenham Hotspur, even though we deserve to get relegated because the points and numbers show it every single time, get jealous and get rattled. Everybody is a Tottenham fan. And on the day that Mr. Box Office is back and he ain't gone away, and that's it. So everybody, as we wrap up the show, like always, every single time, please like and subscribe to the show, and please get me to 2,000 subscribers, and please subscribe to Hotspur Hood. Be subscribed to Designated Spurs for Manny, and be subscribed to Joy Diaries for George as well, and obviously Spurs Kings TV with the great one, Asthmatic, and the most only underrated Marlon as well. And as always, as we wrap up the show, if you didn't know, get to know. Support your boy, Mr. Box Office. Subscribe and like, and come on you Spurs. And we're out. Take care, guys. We're out of here.
See you later.